What is up, guys? Welcome to the Red Top Report stream. I don't know if it has started yet, but we're going to try it again. So if you guys haven't heard me, remember, once again, this is Joe Enders. Welcome to the Red Top Report live stream. We've had some technical difficulties over the past couple days since our last one, but I think we finally got everything up and running and working. Now we got people joining us from Facebook, from YouTube, and from X, and also we are streaming on our Rumble account. So guys, if you want to come watch us on Rumble, you can watch us on Rumble. But what I wanted to do today was kind of just go through the State of the Union address with Joe Biden and kind of give my thoughts throughout the whole thing and give kind of a reaction to what's going on, generally speaking. And I obviously also want to see how much he just botched the entire speech. Overall. Feel free to leave any comments. I'll be looking for them in the comment section. So, like I said, by all means, let's get this stream rolling. I'm going to be starting very shortly with the State of the Union address. So let's give it a watch.
Thank you. David Drill.
Yeah, Speaker Johnson, he's not clapping at all, and now he's banging the gavel, telling everybody to shut up. Not surprising, to be honest with you.
Good evening.
Gil.
Good evening. If I were smart, I'd go home now.
Agreed.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans. In January 1941, Franklin Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation, and he said, "I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber."
I love how he says that, like, freedom and democracy were under attack here, as if we weren't, like, throwing Japanese Americans in internment camps at the exact same time. But, whatever, freedom and democracy, right? The country was a very different place, 80 years ago. It was a very different place.
To address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond.
I love how he says that too, like Ukraine and Russia, saying that democracy is under attack. Yeah, well, who was attacking Russia after Crimea voted to leave? This is the type of thing that I'm talking about. And obviously, everybody in the West is going to say, "Oh, it was obviously rigged. Nobody was voting for it," completely negating the fact that, like, literally a majority of that region is Russian and Russian speakers and all that nonsense. So, but still, it doesn't matter. Like I said, it's a war of propaganda, and you never really know who's, like, actually telling the truth about these things. I'm obviously a little less inclined to believe our fake news media after all that comes out, but that doesn't mean that the Russian media isn't lying too. I just like when somebody says freedom and democracy are under attack, I'm it's kind of good that it's under attack, because democratic systems really only work, and I'm talking about democratic systems, not democracy in the sense of, everybody has the right to vote. I actually don't even think that that's true. I actually think that only that only landowners, male landowners, should have the right to vote. I think that we should have a household-based voting system, and the man is just the one responsible for casting that vote. So, I mean, yeah, I would greatly limit democracy as much as we could, because the people aren't so smart in the democracy, and especially ones that aren't guided by any religious faith or any religious system, or have any sense of moral identity or connection to anything greater than themselves. And when you have all that, when you just have a bunch of people working for their own self-interest, well, they're just going to vote themselves the treasury, for one, and they're going to vote for license to do whatever they want and not seek that true liberty that everybody should be looking for. So in that regard, yeah, I think it's a little silly, but we'll go on. We'll go on. Let Biden keep going.
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
There's no evidence of that. There is not a single bit of evidence of that. In fact, in the Tucker Carlson interview with Vladimir Putin, he actually said there isn't. He actually said there is no chance. I'm not going to take over Poland. I'm not going to go take over any NATO countries or go to war in NATO. And yeah, I mean, J.E. says it great in the comments. Ukraine is not 100% innocent in this war, and neither is Russia. And it's true. That's true. I think that's kind of the casualty of most wars, is that both sides engage in very anti-human behavior, very anti-godly behavior, because at the end of the day, what are you doing? You're killing your neighbor. And obviously, God understands that, but God is not a fan of anybody being killed. He's not even a fan of anybody dying, to be perfectly honest with you. God gave us being, and our being is good and was meant to be used for good. And if we choose to do evil with our lives and have to have our lives taken, God still doesn't like that. God just does not like that in general. So human life is sacred. It's something good. And the end of that is something tragic. And so, yeah, I think that there's always casualties of, there's always, both sides are always a casualty of war, in my opinion.
But Ukraine can stop Putin.
No, they can't. They got like 1/10 of the military power. They can't stop Russia. And we should not make ourselves suffer. We shouldn't make our economy suffer at the behest of Ukraine, who has 1/10 of the military power. They aren't a member of NATO. They aren't our allies. I don't feel that we have any obligation to be helping that country at all.
Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers in war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now,
I hope
assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." Now,
you would have nodded.
Now my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, "Do whatever the hell you want." That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader.
You want to fact check that? Hold on. Trump says he'd let Russia do whatever the hell they want to NATO countries that don't pay enough. Yeah, this is called negotiating, you morons. Oh my gosh, I hate this. I hate when people do this. He says this, go do whatever they want. No, the whole point is that NATO needs to be paying its fair share. Let me look this up. What percentage of NATO is funded by the U.S.? Right here. Let's see. It's from 71% to 66% in 2018. By the way, thanks for that, Trump. That was all you getting them to do that. Yeah, they need to be paying their fair share. A lot of liberals will go around and like complain about they'll complain about things like I forgot what it was. They'll complain about like in all these European countries they have government sponsored healthcare. They got all these great government programs. You know, all of it's paid for with the tax dollars. Yeah, because we're paying for their military and we're paying to protect them. Of course, they have extra money to do that nonsense. Here in the United States, we don't, because we're putting all of our effort into this geopolitical nightmare, trying to protect a bunch of globalists and their power structure and their banks and their money all in Europe. There's no reason that we should be doing that at all. It doesn't help us. It doesn't benefit us. If we were to cut ourselves off from NATO entirely, if we just left NATO and told Western Europe, look, you're going to get with it's like this. You're going to get with the program, or we're going to leave you at the mercy of Russia. It's just that simple. That's exactly the point that Trump is trying to make. That's exactly what he's trying to say. He's negotiating, saying, you need to put in more, boys. You need to put in more. And there's nothing wrong with that as a negotiating tactic. In fact, it would very much inspire them to perhaps stop using the United States, using its money for their own personal benefits so they can live in a fake socialist paradise that would not exist if not for the United States' money. So that's garbage. That's nonsense. Anyways, let's continue.
I think it's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable.
You see the lip quiver? See the lip quiver? Oh, that is great. The lip quiver.
America is a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations.
We pay for 66%.
Created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today,
prevent the war and keep the peace. And who's responsible for doing that? Apparently only the United States. It's time for the NATO members to put in. That's it. That's all that's being said here.
Today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. Welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. Come here, stand up.
Minister of Sweden.
Welcome.
So yeah, and this is exactly why Putin's getting more aggressive, by the way. And he's like, and Biden's like touting this like it's a good thing that you have, you know, the Sweden and Finland, you know, getting involved with NATO and stuff like that. But I mean, this is exactly why Putin's been so aggressive lately. I mean, it's really, really simple too, because you can look at you can look this up. Let's see if I can find the video of look at this. Look at this video. We put this in one of our episodes one time. This is from 92 on, after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Look at NATO. Look at how it's expanded. It's just like, come on, guys. Yeah, this is why Russia is even invading Ukraine. They want there to be a buffer zone between them and NATO, so they're not under attack and have another 10 million people killed in the next world war that's inevitably going to come about at some point. And this is the problem. This is precisely the problem. And boom, there's Ukraine right there. We have been expanding in on them. We're getting closer to their border. They're not getting closer to our borders. All they're trying to do is have some space in between them and the others. So I mean, it's just to me that's just stupid that he would brag about such a thing. Yeah, you're causing these conflicts. You're causing these conflicts, Sleepy Joe. You're causing these conflicts, NATO, Western powers. Go easy on it. Anyways, it's just, yeah, this isn't something to be touting.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. And they know how to fight. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk.
He's saying all these people are at risk while there's this giant crisis down on the southern border that he's not putting the money into at all. He stopped construction of the wall. He's done all of those things. He's doing everything that he can to make us less safe while talking about our duty and our necessary need to go help other countries around the world. Yeah, how about we focus some of that money, because our debt just keeps going up, by the way. It's just getting worse. Why don't we focus some of that money on our border, on ourselves, and things like that? And to be honest, it's because he doesn't care about that sort of thing, because it doesn't fit the platform. He's going to spend all sorts of money sending weapons to Ukraine, sending this, that, and the other to fight his little proxy war with Russia while Americans are on the street, while our groceries are getting more expensive, while our gas is getting more expensive. And we're going to get involved in another war that has no spoils, that doesn't affect us or benefit our economy in any way. It just destroys everything that we're looking to do. It destroys everything that would benefit Americans. All it does is put us in more debt and increase spending. And that's not what we need right now. Inflation's going crazy right now. The spending has to stop. We have to stop the spending.
The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
Feel as if you're free from allergies. And
really, I'll mute the ad, but we're back.
We will not bow down.
Not getting involved in a conflict is not bowing down. Not sticking our nose in business that we have nothing to do with is not getting involved. And let's be honest, I think we might know why this is all going on. I mean, Hunter Biden was doing some shady dealings out over in Ukraine, and I think Russia might be looking for some dirt on good old Sleepy Joe. So, but we'll see. We don't know.
I will not bow down. I will not bow down.
How is this woman still in politics? Oh my gosh. How old is she now? Wait. 83 years old, and she's still going. She's still going in Congress. How old's Joe Biden? Oh, let me do age. 81 years old. Donald Trump, that ripe 77. He's still good. But 83 years old, and she's still there. And then Mitch McConnell was the other one. He announced that he's retiring from as a minority leader in the Senate as well. And then his age, 82 years old. I mean, we need to kind of step up here. Young Republicans, just young people in general, and start fighting for our values, a little bit more, getting involved in politics and getting these geriatric globalist morons out of power in this country, because they are truly evil. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's just evil. But yeah, I mean, this is the face. This is the face of times need to change. Times need to change. Get her out.
In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy.
You put a dagger to the throat of American democracy with all the nonsense shenanigans that the Democrats and the George Soros chosen committees did in the election. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And all the Democrats are going to clap for him the entire time. You'll notice that the Republicans aren't, though, in most cases. But yeah, I mean, calling January 6th an attack on democracy, the 2020 election was an attack on democracy. We're just going to, I love when people say, oh, this election wasn't rigged. It was the safest election in history, this, that, and the other. Yeah, the only difference is we fundamentally changed how we go about voting in the country with the mail-in ballots. It's silly. It makes no sense at all whatsoever. And I agree with you. Everyone there standing, clapping, are lost. I don't see the political system being redeemed anytime soon. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they steal it from Trump in 2024. But to say that January 6th was a response to an attack on democracy. And there's a lot of people there's a lot of people that'll say, they'll say like, oh, you know, January 6th was infiltrated by these people. The FBI was engaging in entrapment. And some of that might be true, but I almost don't want to believe that. I almost don't want to believe it. I almost want to think that for once Americans took a stand against the government corruption, the election rigging that took place in this country, and actually said, no, we're not going to stand for it. Now, obviously, any like violence that was done against people is totally wrong. I don't agree with that in any way. But in regard to saying we will not stand for you guys interfering and meddling in our elections, that's a big deal. You know, social media getting involved in elections, changing mail-in ballots, using COVID as an excuse to change the rules to allow people to vote without an ID, to get rid of election safeguards, allow online voter registration, unmanned illegal ballot drop boxes, all circumventing the state legislatures. That's an attack on democracy. That's not how this country was designed to work. You should go read the Constitution and what it said and who it says is responsible for creating the rules and laws regarding elections in the states. You know, the right to vote is not just, well, anybody can send in a piece of paper and anybody can mail in a piece of paper with their name and a signature on it, and that counts as a vote. I mean, Pennsylvania said you could send in your votes up to 3 days after election day. That's not how we do elections in the United States. There's rules, there's days. You should have to show up in person. You should have to fill out a paper ballot in your handwriting. That's how we've done ballots in this country and elections. So we're just going to just magically change the way we do it in 2020. That just so happens to be a time when there is a presidential candidate that is absolutely hated by the establishment class of the Western world. And it just so happened to happen just right then, just when they needed it most to happen. It just coincidentally went down that we fundamentally changed our election strategies. Get out of here. That is obviously not the case. So I don't subscribe to that whole January 6th. That January 6th is an attack on democracy nonsense. The attack on democracy happened, you know, right around election time, right around when all these elections committees, and attorney and Secretary of States were doing all these weird, shady things that went against the election laws established by the state legislatures.
Many of you are here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood.
We'll see if they failed in 2024.
America stood strong and democracy prevailed. We must be.
I almost wonder if it's like kind of like a passive lie. That they're doing this. I do. I honestly they know they're lying. But they don't want to, but they're not quite lying because, you know, in the true sense, the more people that are voting, the more democracy is expanded. But the whole idea of our constitutional republic is that type of democracy is not a good thing. That's why we have a constitutional republic. That's why we don't have all of the people showing up to vote on everything that we do. Like, you know, it's the Greek the Athenian Greeks, or something like that. What we're doing here is we elect representatives. And not everybody is equally equipped to be voting. I mean, we all know this. Not everybody is equally equipped to be voting. So it's just like this sort of thing is like, I mean, yeah, he's not lying. I guess this is democracy, but yeah, democracy kind of sucks. So what can I say?
Be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
Well, I'm looking forward to all of Sleepy Joe's loving if Donald Trump wins in 2024. Where was all that loving in 2016 while he was president? Did he love his country then, or was he going crazy and criticizing Trump at every turn and everything like that? I mean, good grief, he's president and he's criticizing his opponent at every turn. So it's like, no, that's not how it works. And once again, he's still going with the thing going with the idea that the 2020 election being manipulated, stolen, rigged, or whatever you want to call it is just a completely made up thing. It ain't a made up thing. It's quite obvious that things were changed, and they were changed specifically because there was somebody that they didn't like in power. There's no doubt about that.
As I've done ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections. Restore trust in our institutions. And make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place. Again, it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. The Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right to IVF.
Guarantee the right to IVF. See, they're just making stuff up now. Since when do we have a right to IVF? And by the way, the reason that they're against IVF is let me see. I forget. Yeah, let's see. So here we go. This is what the USCCB has about IVF. Infertility is a growing problem in the United States, and in true American fashion, there has been corresponding growth in reproductive technologies, blah, blah, blah. So it's talking about IVF, which is in vitro fertilization. There we go. Let's see. In IVF, children are endangered through a technical process subjected to quality control and eliminated if found defective. I think we talked about this in a video back in the day as well, by the way. This is very important. Oh, here's a good comment. I think you found it before I did, actually, so we can pull it up. Thanks, Jay. The church says no to IVF due to the massive destruction of embryonic life, the assault on the meaning of the conjugal act, and the treatment of the child as a product, not a gift. That's absolutely correct. And it was actually Pope Francis who even spoke against it, actually. So here we go. Let's see. Where is it? We got to find IVF. and surrogacy. That's what he was talking about. I remember this now. But yeah, the idea is that you don't want to treat a child as a commodity. So what you have doing is when you do that, you have like the ability to like purchase your children, basically. You're purchasing which ones you want, getting the desirable ones that you want. It's a very, 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 very destructive practice, and it takes away the value of the human person. You don't want things like that going on. And not only that, there's many abortions that occur with in vitro because not all of them take. And what they do is they create little lives, and a lot of those lives are just discarded and thrown away. And if life begins, as we know, life begins at conception. So when life begins at conception and you just throw it away, that's an abortion. You're killing a person. This just calls for more of a like we have the unalienable right to life in our Declaration of Independence. That's the idea that that's the idea that we should orient our civilization towards protecting life. It's very clearly stated there. Yet what needs to be defined, I guess, in more detail in the United States is when does life begin? And I think that needs to be enshrined into law. Because what happens is you have 50 different people with 50 different ideas of what life is. And what do you get? What do you get from that? You have nobody has a clue when life begins because we're this secular country with no state church that dictates some of these philosophical truths, that interprets the natural law, that does any of those things. So what we have is this hodgepodge of people that just disagree and never get anything done. What we need to do as a nation is define that life begins at conception. And from there, we can legislate and create laws, and we can have judgments in courts. We can do all of these things to make it easier for us to understand what's going on. This guy saying that you have a right to IVF, that makes absolutely no sense if you're a person that believes that life begins at conception, which is the Catholic and Christian position, and this is a Christian nation. So for those that might be confused by that, we don't need to enshrine this as a right. What we need to do is define when life begins in our legal system. This is what I'm talking about. So this is the type of thing that I'm talking about. It's bizarre to me that they would ever go this way. And obviously, thank you, J.E. Appreciate it. I love that we have younger people watching the show, and it's just absolutely great. It's absolutely great. I love that our audience is young people. It's just killer.
Guarantee it nationwide. Like most Americans, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right.
I believe Roe v. Wade. He can't talk. He can't talk. Can we zoom in a little bit, maybe, on Mr. Biden? No, it's not going to let me zoom. Dang it! Is there a zoom? No, and it's only 720. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't think you could zoom on YouTube. I wanted to see if I could. I want to see if his pupils are dilated. I remember watching a debate that he did with Trump one time, and his pupils were like this. He had like pupil goggles on, and I'm like, they must have like doped him up before he went on there, got him all energized and angry because he's always so low energy typically. So, but anyways, we'll continue.
I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom, and so much more.
He's the most unlikable human being. Like, I thought Hillary Clinton was an unlikable person, but just the condescending nature of everything that she does is just insufferable. Hold on. Is it the buses? Is that what it was? I can't remember what it was. Yeah, this guy was a disaster too.
Exhaust, no diesel smell. The bus has Wi-Fi. And even USB outlets next to every seat. I mean, come on, imagine. You can charge your phone on your way home from work.
You ever notice how she like pretends to talk? Man, she pretends to talk like she's black. What is that? What is that with her? I don't understand that. Like you're clearly like one of these. You're clearly one of these. Yo, it's Ricky. What's up, Ricky? That is one of our Giga Chatters. Big shout out to Ricky. Gonna throw you up in the stream right now. That's our dog. Welcome to the stream. We're making fun of Kamala Harris right now because she puts on a fake black accent. Now, I'm not saying that she isn't black, but she's not a black person that is that is efficient in ebonics. Let me just put it that way. So it's just bizarre. This whole thing is just bizarre. Listen to her talk about it.
You can charge your phone on your way home from work.
You could charge your phone on your way home from work, homie. What are you doing? You sound like dude. This is and this is what I'm saying. Black men. I think it was black men. Hold on. Let me look this up. I want to make sure I'm right about this. I saw an article about this a while back. Let's see. I don't know if I can find it, but it was like this thing where it was this article that I read where it said that like Kamala was like losing support of black male voters. Let's see. There are polls that also say I have great approval ratings. This is PolitiFact too. These guys are left wing. Here's the quote. There are polls that also say I have great approval ratings. No recent public poll shows Kamala Harris with great approval ratings. Oh, it's great. I love it. I absolutely love it. That is terrific. Anyways, okay. So enough roasting Kamala. She also, by the way, she descends from slave owners, just so you know. But that's another thing. So all those racists that Black America is complaining about. Well, your vice president's one of them, and her skin color doesn't matter.
Thank you. My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the case.
Based, yeah, I brag about it too. Hey, I just ended the mass slaughter of unborn babies all across the United States of America. Yeah, I'm gonna take credit for that. Yeah, based, like what? Is this like I've actually seen a clip of this already. I haven't watched the whole State of the Union. I'm doing that now, but I've actually watched a clip of this, and I kid you not, I was like, is this a campaign ad for Trump right now?
Chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at risk.
Whoa, what?
Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas.
Let me try to hear
She's
this.
become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future.
And you're a bit of looks like the drugs are wearing off.
Were at risk if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors.
Yeah, I think there's more to this story. I don't think I remember hearing about this. Hold on.
Kate and her husband had to, because Kate. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition.
Okay, so hold on a second. Let me make sure this is right. What is it, Kate Cox? Is it Kate Cox? Is that who it is? Reminder, yeah, here we go. Reminder that Kate Cox traveled out of Texas to abort her baby who had a fetal anomaly, trisomy 18. Many parents lovingly deliver babies with this condition every day. Kate's life was not at risk. She'd have been able to legally get an abortion if it had been. If it had been. Once again, fake news. Joe Biden screaming from the rooftops a load of garbage about this fake sob story about somebody who had to travel out of state to get an abortion. No, if her life was actually in danger, and by the way, there are children that were said that had trisomy 18. I'm almost sure of it. Let's see. Kate Cox demanded a late-term abortion of her disabled baby girl, and she left Texas to ensure her daughter's death. That's Lila Rose. Did not need an abortion. The baby was disabled. Rick and Karen, and here's two people. This is what I saw earlier. Rick and Karen Santorum believe children are precious. They refused to abort their preborn daughter after discovering she had trisomy 18. Or trisomy. I don't know how to say it. Trisomy 18. Bella will celebrate her 16th birthday this year. Wow. So that baby could have lived, and she could have lived as well. But what happened? She went and killed her daughter. Yeah, I'm glad Texas said no. What? This is what I mean by the dishonesty. It's just not true.
Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at risk if she didn't act.
Tired of that.
Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need.
I always hate this argument, the rape and incest exception. It's just such a stupid, it's such a stupid claim. And I only say that because what other crimes do we punish innocent people for being the victims of? Like, why aren't we punishing the rapists? Why aren't we giving them steeper penalties? If you're convicted of rape, good grief, could you get the death penalty? What could you get in these instances? I mean, that's the type of thing that really bugs me here, is that, like, there's a person that commits a crime against another person, and in order to get justice, we're going to kill the innocent person involved in the scenario. That makes absolutely no sense. And by the way, if you think that somehow that would help the mental health of the mother, yeah, having on your conscience the fact that you ended the life of your own child, I'm pretty sure that's a lot more traumatizing than carrying the baby to term and giving it a good life despite the nasty circumstances, or putting the baby up for adoption so it can have a wonderful life with a new and loving family that wants to take care of them. You look at all the other options out there that women who get raped have, and there's a lot better options out there than murdering, infanticide, killing your unborn baby in the womb. So it's just bad arguments, and I don't accept it at all.
Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look.
Oh, I take away a lot of freedoms. Yeah. How about contraception? How about no-fault divorce? How about all the things that are ripping apart American families because you guys simply want it to happen because you believe the world's overpopulated? How about that? Yeah, those are some freedoms I'd like to take away. I'd like to take away the freedom of families to be ripped apart over who to vote for. I'd like there to be unanimity. I'd like policies geared towards uplifting families and not uplifting individuals. That's what I'd like. And you can complain about that all you want, and I'm happy to debate the subject with anybody out there. But that's how it should be. It really is how it should be. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to just continuing on here.
It's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following, and with all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
But the justices aren't elected. They're appointed. And that's on purpose. They're not supposed to be elected officials. That's the whole point. It's something chosen by a representative. Oh, so why would they care about how women are going to vote in the next election unless he's just assuming that they're partisan hacks? That's the problem. You can't politicize the court. The court is supposed to be a non-political body that decides on the law. Now, that's not how it works, obviously. When you have a Republican president, he's going to take a more people with a more originalist interpretation of the Constitution, and then you're going to have by the way, originalist means, you look at the original intention of what was written into the document. And then you're going to have the leftists choose people that believe in living constitutionalism, which is the idea that the meaning evolves over time so we can change it to mean whatever we want. So, I mean, yeah, I don't even know why he's saying that. That doesn't make any sense at all. Look at them. They're like looking at him. Even the left-wing judges, they're looking at him like, dude, what are you saying that about us for? Oh, that's so good. You got Sotomayor. Anyways, yeah, that's funny. That's funny. And look at that. Alito. Is Alito there? I don't think he's there. Yeah, I don't think he showed up. I heard that he snubbed it because of the snide comments about the Supreme Court that he made in the past. They're just doing their job.
Clearly.
That's stupid, man.
Clearly. Those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the ballot. We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, and this goes back to the problem with democracy. Honestly, I agree with everything he said. But our people aren't virtuous anymore. They're not wielding their powers for the purposes of strengthening our civilization and creating virtuous people, strong families, big families, and providing for and investing in the next generation. Instead, we're destroying our next generation, and that's a real shame, because it actually shows that the American experiment itself is actually failing, and that's horrible. That's the last thing that you want is that to be the case, because the people are. This is how a democratic system works. As Aristotle would call it, the polity, is that you have a strong and virtuous people have elected people that are representatives of the people, and those virtuous people elect more virtuous and more competent people than they are to go and do the work. But when all of that changes, people start wielding their power for getting their personal whims solved, and the good of civilization goes by the wayside. Well, civilization goes by the wayside, and everyone suffers because of it in the country. So, I mean, the fact that we choose abortion, we choose destroying generations, destroying life, destroying the future it's incredibly dangerous, incredibly anti-Christian, incredibly anti-God. It just doesn't go against. It doesn't go. It's almost ritualistic in a way, the way that they demand these things. It's like ritualistic destruction of the family, and it's like an offering to the devil. It's just disgusting. And the fact that they're winning on that issue is very, very worrisome for my view of the American people overall. Yeah, Alito is not there.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Roe v. Wade, by the way, bad law, like really bad law. What they did was they took the 14th Amendment, they took the due process clause of the 14th Amendment. Let me read it to you. I'll make it easy. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. So right here, this is what Roe v. Wade, Roe v. Wade professes to have this right to privacy under. They think that the right to privacy draws from due process of law. And it doesn't really make any sense. There was no law on the books for Roe v. Wade. There was nothing to really protect with Roe v. Wade. The court just kind of pulled that out of the due process clause. And it's because at the time the court was staffed by these living constitutionalists who say that we can, the Constitution is a fluid and living document that changes over time, and the meaning changes over time. And one of the things that they said was that from the due process clause, you can get like the right to privacy. And that is just an abhorrent idea. It's just an abhorrent idea. And we don't have a constitutionally protected right to privacy. There are instances where you can be searched in your own home if you're suspected of committing a crime, if you get a warrant. We do not have a fundamental right to our privacy. Our privacy can be deprived legally many times. And that's an issue. It's an issue that Roe v. Wade established such of that thing, especially between the woman and her doctor. The same thing went for contraception. All of these were decided on the due process clause, saying that you have this right to privacy in your home. And it's just not necessarily the case.
Folks, America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we've come.
What's up, Dylan? Welcome.
4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses. Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate.
Let's go. Amen. 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 Amen.
Of loved
Christ
ones,
is King.
millions left
Ave
behind.
Christus Rex.
Mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news in 1,000 cities and towns. The American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told.
This is what he'll use to justify his jobs numbers too. Hold on. I think Community Notes violated Joe Biden on this. Hold on. I want to make sure it's right, but yeah. Let's see. Yeah, this is it. Joe Biden just said he's created 15 million new jobs. 10 million of the jobs were recovered from the COVID lockdowns. Remember when everybody got fired? Remember when everything was shut down and only essential people were allowed to go to work? Check it out. Yeah, that's this. That's this part of the graph, people. It's this part, right? Look at it. Look at it. Down right there. And this is what he's claiming is his $15 million job growth. We're still not back. We're still not back to where we were under Joe Biden. Look at how slow that recovery is. Look at this. Look at this. It's just like gradually going up. And he's saying that these are created jobs. What, jobs that already existed that people are going back to? No, we need more jobs. Our population is going up in the United States, and it's due to illegal immigration, not having children. Unfortunately, it should be due to having children, and we should restrict immigration. But look at the line here. Look at the line here. Our jobs aren't growing. In fact, we still have less jobs than we did in 2020, despite our population going up, despite illegals pouring across the border, millions and millions of people coming out there looking for work. That's why you see a homeless crisis. That's why you see crime becoming a major problem in American cities. I mean, it's like, dude, people are not working right now like they should be. They're just not. So, and this is constant. This is a constant lie. I want to see if I can find where he actually tweeted the numbers out. This one. Yeah, this is the one. He keeps posting this. It's just so dishonest. It's so dishonest. Like all of these are from COVID. Anyways, that's just, yeah, but dude, it's a joke. It's a joke.
So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot.
To be honest, he's stumbling less than I thought.
No one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccine that saved us from COVID.
The vaccine saved us from COVID. Wait a minute, didn't the CDC admit that it doesn't work? Is this it? Yeah, CDC reverses statement by director that vaccinated people are no longer contagious. That's what it was. That's what it was. I want to make sure I remember everything right. Oh, this is great. Yeah, this is it. This is it. CDC director, COVID vaccines can't prevent transmission anymore. Is this the one? When is this from? 2022? Are no longer effective at preventing transmission of the virus. And then vaccines won't stop transmission. Let me see if Twitter's usually Twitter's becoming better than Google now. Let me see what they say. Let's see. They complained about others not getting the COVID-19. Then they died suddenly. Yeah, that's the... I'm looking for it right now. I remember reading something about it. Now it's beating cancer. I don't know what...
Are now being used to beat cancer.
Oh!
Setback and the comeback.
What?
That's what America does. That's what America does.
Yeah, I guess you're going to die from it. You know, I guess you're going to put yourself at risk of death from myocarditis. But hey, you know, you were a guinea pig in the big vaccine experiment that was used on the American people with no long-term testing on it. That's smart, real smart. And I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to be vindicated on this with the vax stuff. And once again, like I'm not super into talking about that issue, to be honest with you, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert in any way, but it's pretty obvious that when there's no long-term testing on something, that there's going to be negative side effects that people have in the future. And these companies have immunity, so they're not even going to be held liable for the awful things that they've done with those side effects. It's big pharma just raking in cash, consequence-free. Doesn't matter whose lives they ruin. None of it matters.
Folks, I inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows.
I don't like when people bring up the unemployment rate, because the unemployment rate is directly correlated to is different from the labor participation rate. And as far as I understand it, let me see. Let's see. Is this our current chart? Let's see. Oh, it only goes up to 5 years. Yeah, so it hasn't even, our labor participation rate isn't even back to where it was pre-COVID either, according to these numbers. So there's your labor participation rate. That means the number of people that are working in the United States of America that are participating in the labor market. And look at that. 63% was before that. And that's a problem in and of itself. 63%? Really? 63% of people? Anyways, let's go forward. We're only at 62.5 right now. So come on, guys. Like, this is It's such poor it's such poor research, and Biden is just completely dishonest. But let's look at the now. Curious with the unemployment rate. Not now. The employment situation. I don't need that. I'll go to Fred. They usually do pretty good. There we go. Yeah, then in 2020, and look at this. Like our unemployment rate is slightly better than it was but in February 2020. It was at 3.5 in February 2020, 3.5%. And now it's at 3.9%. So we're doing worse than we were before COVID. Again, he's bragging about these historic numbers. He's bragging about all these things, but all of this is just the economy bouncing back after the devastation that was the COVID pandemic. And he cites all these numbers and he says all these things, and none of them are correct. It's nonsense.
A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a literal act of hope.
Yeah, probably because of the giant holes in the market created by COVID.
Small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will.
Jobs coming back after COVID is new.
More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever
crappy
before.
and expensive health insurance.
The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world.
Oh, let's go back to Fred. Hold on. This should be interesting. Hold on. Let's see. Really? Inflation has gone down, huh? Oh, this is the city average. Okay, let's get the 10-year inflation rate. So here's our inflation rate. Here's 2020. What are they calling this little box here? I actually can't see it. So, and then there's the inflation. This is probably mostly due to the relief checks that were given to people when they were forced out of the workforce. And then right here, and then we have our boy Joe Biden. Wham, wham, up. And then it kind of slows down, up, slows down, up. And now it's finally starting to just slightly go down. But guess what? We're once again still not where we were at 1.64, which where we were at in 2024, which is higher. That's the point. He's not improving anything from when Trump was president at all. Everything is worse.
And tending lower. The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Right here in America, where they belong.
This is something that Trump and Biden agree on, except Trump actually did it. And
it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumers.
Actually, wait a minute. Hold on. Did Biden do TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership? So just so people know, the Trans-Pacific Partnership was proposed to trade 12 Pacific Rim economies, Australia. I don't even know how to pronounce that country, but there you go. Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, Vietnam, and the United States. Now, who was the people that proposed it? TPP signed. Let's see. Hold on a second. President. It's only 14. Yep. There it is. President Obama. And guess who his vice president was? You already know who it was. Yep. That's right. Joe Biden. And this was a free trade agreement that sent, let me see. TPP, 2.7 million. Hold on, let me zoom in for you. 2.7 million jobs sent overseas because of Barack Obama, Joe Biden's ticket. And this guy's going to brag about American jobs coming back? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. Not at all. Not in the slightest. It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
Studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s.
Except when you're signing
Past
free trade deals to
administrations,
destroy
including
American
my
jobs.
predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers. Creating good-paying American jobs. And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles. And by the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
Paying $100,000 a year and not requiring a college degree. Okay, that's great. Now here's the pickle. I mean, housing prices. Let's go to this. Oh, you'll love this. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Housing prices. Let's see. National Home Price Index. So, yeah, here's your CoreLogic, Case-Shiller, U.S. National Home Price Index. So we had going up, and then we had the housing market crash, and then boom. And then as soon as Biden becomes president in, well, after the pandemic, I guess I should say, boom, way, way, way up. Yeah. Yeah. Is this, let me see, 2,000 equals 100 on this scale. Yeah, I mean, so the point is, and you can read articles about this. There it is. Want to buy a house? Here's how much you need to earn to afford one in these U.S. cities. In San Francisco, with a median home sale price of more than $1.48 million, you'll need the greatest annual income, $404,332. Just so you know, that's more than Joe Biden's salary. Just to give you guys some something to reflect on a little bit here. Let's see. Yep, to afford a median priced U.S. home now, Redfin says buyers must earn $114,627, up 15%, mind you, from a year ago, and up more than 50% since the start of the pandemic. The real estate website said a typical household earns about $40,000 less than that. So all those $100,000 a year jobs you're creating, great work, Capitan. Not working for us very well. You can't really afford you still can't really afford a house on that. So the economy is messed up, and it's messed up because of a multitude of factors, including inflation that he's causing, and the COVID lockdowns caused, the relief checks caused, forcing people out of work. There's a lot of problems.
In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in.
I still can't get over the time Biden called him Secretary Booty Juice. That was funny. That was a funny stumble. But yeah, look at that. Look at the nerd smile. Look at the nerd smile. Look at the evil beady eyes too. Man, he really does. He just looks like a piece of garbage. I'm not a fan of his, by the way. He said something really dumb in the past. Can't remember what it was. It was something about battery powered cars. Anyways,
I like it. I'm with you. If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernize our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems.
that needs to happen. No, he's not doing it. He's not going to do anything about it, but that does need to happen. There's a lot of states that have crumbling infrastructure right now, and they do need help building that up. Infrastructure is important because it increases productivity, and increased productivity actually does lower prices for people in an economic system. It's something people forget about quite often.
Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
Yep, that's a very pro-family position.
Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in a family farm.
This is a major problem in America, by the way. Farms are just not profitable entities anymore. You family farms, you need subsidies. Like, hold on. See, this is something that a lot of people don't know about, but most family farms make no money, and they actually need government subsidies to get by. So all of U.S. family farm households, the median total income of all U.S. family farm households is $95,000, was greater in 2022 than the median income of all U.S. households, $74,000. The median total household income for all family farms in 2022 increased to $92,000 in 2021. But here's the problem. So median farm income dollars. Look at this. Negative. They make negative money every year. And the median family farmer, no matter their race, reports negative farm income. They make money almost exclusively from non-farm work. Now, this varies substantially by farm size. Farm income is negative for small farms and about $45,000 for medium-sized farms. That's still not much. Only at mid-size farms does income reach 130,000, and it goes up from there. So it's a break-even operation, and you know, a lot of them are just doing it based on charity, but they need subsidies in order to continue. And what's happening is these corporate owners, these people with big money like Bill Gates and stuff, and China as well, are purchasing a bunch of farmland, and it's gonna, all of our food supply is going to be controlled by giant corporations, some of which are actually foreign. Let's think about some of the potential dangers there. You know, I mean, look at the, you know, you already know that Bill Gates is trying to make this fake meat thing go forward right now. So we say Bill Gates' fake meat products will eventually be very good, and he's going to be selling that fake meat in order to reduce carbon emissions or whatever, stupid excuse he's making to do these things. And then, but here's the kicker. See, this is what happens when a guy has so much power. Bill Gates So hold on one second. Yeah. So he's working on genetically modifying mosquitoes right now. And let's see, modified mosquito release products the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation doesn't finance any modified mosquito release projects in the US. And experts say the types of mosquitoes that are used for that initiative in Florida are not capable of transmitting malaria. But dig this. This is what's really, really interesting about this. So now we don't know where these things came from, but this is a new thing that's out. There's a meat allergy. Meat from any kind of mammal, beef, lamb, pork, goat, and even whale and seal can cause an allergic reaction. So this is why I showed you the whole mosquitoes thing. And obviously there's no evidence, and I'm not going to claim that there is, that Bill Gates has specifically done this. But I find it very interesting that the guy who is experimenting on buying up our farmland and experimenting with these different types of meat, and then suddenly what pops up is this something going on, whatever it is. I don't, bite from a Lone Star tick can cause people to develop an allergy to red meat, including beef and pork. And it's called the Lone Star tick. And how much you want to bet that you're not going to be allergic to the lab-grown meat? And by the way, I am saying this as a suspicious claim, but this is just an idea of the bad things someone can do when they have control over the farming industry. And then China, obviously, if they want to take us over, could use GMOs that die in 5 years, and then we have to go through a famine while they're planning an invasion. There's a lot of evil that can happen with this sort of thing. So you got to be cognizant of like these sorts of things. We have to support our farmers. It's very dangerous for you not to support your farmers.
Because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than
He's talking so fast you can barely understand
anybody I know. We're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies, knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, a new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. Folks, the folks of Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs in the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
This is one of the things that I think Democrats get right. And I'm probably going to get some flack for this opinion, but that's okay. I mean, you can leave your comments in there, and I'll try my best to directly respond to them. I think Republicans should probably start moving towards union support. And I only say that because they are a very strong Democratic voting base, and it is a voting base of mostly straight white men. If you exclude the teachers union, obviously, I don't think we're ever going to get control of the teachers union. That's a pipe dream. But blue collar union guys, steel workers, Teamsters, which are truck drivers, things like that. Most of those people are straight white males, and straight white males tend to have the most traditional values, and obviously Hispanic males are going to have them too. So when you have that, a lot of the reason that people don't support that union members don't support Republicans is because they support policies like right to work, which basically make it make collective bargaining incredibly difficult for the unions, and it allows them to fire people and bring in non-union workers to compete against them, who will always get hired because they'll be hired at lower wages, because unions naturally vote for them. They want people to be able to opt out of their dues to the union that the state and public workers make a contract with. Now, I personally don't think that if you have a contract with somebody, you should legally be allowed to circumvent that contract using the law. First of all, that's wrong. And two, we're alienating all those voters by telling them that we're going to destroy your union and force you into a job with lower wages and worse benefits. That's not going to get those people voting Republican. I think that we might want to move more towards that, because a lot of union workers are supporting Donald Trump, and I think that's one of the reasons that we do so well. We do so well in the elections. That's why one of the reasons Donald Trump won in 2016. So I am very, very convinced that if we abandoned this idea of all free trade is always a good thing. You know, tariffs are important with countries like China, one, for security, two, for the protection of our jobs. And then on top of it, also supporting organized labor, which is going to allow people, because we need wages to rise, allow people to have the wages to have strong families, to allow people to have the benefits that allow them to have good health care for their children, for their families. These sorts of things can happen if we support these blue collar workers, you know, police unions, firefighter unions, steelworkers unions, Teamsters unions, things like that. Those are men that we are alienating and forcing them to vote for people that want to put pornography in, you know, in children's in public school libraries, transgenderism, and all the other stuff, all the other nonsense that the teachers union is pushing. We can turn those unions against unions like the teachers union, and we could definitely bring them over to our side if we really wanted to. So, you know, Biden's winning with union workers by saying this stuff right now, but Republicans just aren't saying the things that need to be said, and they're still supporting these right to work policies. And ultimately, that's good for corporations and bad for the wages of workers. You know, and that's just how it is.
Here tonight is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up. And Dawn Sims, a third-generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line, and today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well.
He's going to win.
Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
I don't know if that's true, but they definitely helped.
I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America. That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
Look at the blank stare. Okay, stronger. It's just... He's tired, man. He's tired. I don't think he even wants to be president, to be honest with you. But he ended on a winning issue, though, which is probably pretty clever. Oh, here we go.
Tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation.
Yeah, I know. You're doing a bunch of dealings with some corporations over in Ukraine. What was it, Burisma or whatever?
But I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around so middle class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all do.
I really, really don't like when people say that, trickle-down economics doesn't work. Trickle-down economics doesn't work when you have a working class that doesn't know how to negotiate its wages, when you have weaker unions to negotiate pay or pay people to negotiate better pay for them. That's when trickle-down economics works. Trickle-down economics does work when you force the corporate owners to pay you what you're due, to not rake in all the profits that they want to keep for themselves, and instead disperse it throughout the company in an equitable fashion. That's what I find to be nonsensical here. So I don't understand how you can say that trickle-down economics doesn't work. It doesn't work in a crony capitalist system. It doesn't work it doesn't even work in a communist system either. It doesn't, but it does work when you have people that are competent. But what is Joe Biden doing but importing a bunch of third worlders here that don't know how to negotiate pay, that on average work for a lot less than the average American? Is he not contributing to that very problem? So what's he going to do? He's going to make the corporations pay more taxes and prevent the trickle-down economics from working, and then say trickle-down economics doesn't work. Well, it would work. Trickle-down economics would work. And if you guys don't know what trickle-down economics is, it's where if the top is doing really well, that wealth will trickle down to the rest of the corporations and obviously to workers and benefit the economy as a whole. That's normally true. But this is why you're seeing prices go way up. You're seeing corporate profits at record highs, and you're not seeing wage growth at the same rate. It's because people are not negotiating the pay as well as they used to be able to. There isn't systems in place for attorneys and unions to collectively bargain with corporate attorneys and get a just wage for the people involved. That's why we need unions, first of all. And two, that's also why we need competent, smarter Americans. Know what their worth is as a people and demand that from the corporate owners. So they're not raking in all the cash, enjoying all the growth, enjoying all the wealth, while the people at the lowest bottom of the totem pole aren't getting any of the benefits from that. Yeah, corporations will screw you over if they can. They will do that. But like I said, when you have competent people at a company, or you have a union that organizes to put a competent person to negotiate for you forward, which is a good thing, by the way. And we do have freedom of association in the United States, guys. So you do have the right to form those things. So, yeah, that's why trickle-down economics isn't working. Duh. So Republicans, get on the union bandwagon, try to start supporting wage growth, but they don't want to do it either because they got the giant corporate donors too, this establishment, the deep state. All of those people want that because those are the people donating to their campaigns. It's incredibly corrupt, our system, and that's why it doesn't work. That's why we're seeing what we're seeing economically in the United States.
Well, and there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
That's a good thing, too.
For the law that I proposed and signed, not one of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it only costs $10 to make, they only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to.
By the way, I believe this was a Donald Trump policy, if I remember correctly. This was a Donald Trump policy. Yeah. This is what it is. Let me see. Thank you very much. The big announcement, the biggest ever concerning drugs and drug pricing. So today I have to tell you it's a great honor for me to announce that my administration is issuing 2 groundbreaking rules to very dramatically lower the price of prescription drugs for the American people, especially for our cherished seniors. Currently, drug companies provide large discounts on the price of prescription medicines, including nearly $40 billion in rebates to Medicare Part D plans. I'm trying to find the part where he said it. Let's see. Yep, right here. Congress didn't act on prescription drug prices, so he did. This was an executive order, right? Yeah. On Friday, which together will significantly lower the first order, directs federally qualified health centers to pass along massive discounts on insulin and epinephrine from drug companies to low-income Americans. Why is Biden taking credit for what Trump did? This is great, but this is the point. Like, yes, it's a good thing, but guess who did it? Donald Trump. Yeah, Trump 2024, guys. The second order will allow the safe, legal importation of prescription drugs from Canada and other countries where the price for identical drugs is lower. Third order will prohibit secret deals between drug manufacturers and pharmacy benefit manager middlemen, ensuring patients directly benefit from available discounts at the pharmacy counter. The fourth order ensures the United States pays the lowest price available among economically advanced countries for Medicare Part B drugs. The United States often pays 80% more for these drugs than other developed nations. So he got rid of all of that stuff. If you're looking at why prescription drug prices are so much lower now than they used to be, this is why. Thank Donald Trump, not Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't do this.
For every American who needs it. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money. It's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion.
I hate when they say this sort of thing. When they say that they're cutting the deficit, that means that they're overspending by a little bit this time around. That's all that means. We're not lowering our debt. Our debt is still going up. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at our friend the national debt clock. Here we go. You guys ready? U.S. national debt. There she is. 493,461,861,400,000 in debt right now. And it's going up, and it's going up and up and up and up. Yeah, you're not going to see it ever go down. It's always going to show this. You're always going to see this number right here going way up, never stopping, never changing, never getting any better. That's just how this works. And this is what I'm talking about, guys. This is like when you say that you cut the deficit, that means you overspent by a certain amount less. And a lot of people don't understand this politically. It's what it is. But, you know, our socialist friend Bernie Sanders is going to obviously go ahead.
Have to pay those exorbitant prices to big pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market that treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade. They're making a lot of money, guys. And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year. Even for expensive cancer drugs, it costs $10,000, $12,000, $15,000.
Now, obviously, we love our boomers, but everyone. All this Medicare talk. I don't really care because I'm never going to have Medicare. I'm never going to have Medicare. I'm probably not even going to have Social
If
Security.
you want to get in Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow. I mean, excuse me. And well, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place.
This is
Folks,
literally him parroting Trump.
The Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, it's still a very big deal.
Obamacare is awful. It's terrible. Just so you guys know, like even with like a gold PPO plan through Blue Cross Blue Shield using Obamacare has like an $8,000 out-of-pocket limit on it. Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't know if you guys know how healthcare works, but you have your deductible, and your deductible is, you know, even on the gold plan is still going to be about, you know, $1,250, something like that. I mean, let me see. I don't think I'm even able to look this up necessarily. Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to see it. It's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult to look up. I figured you wouldn't be able to. But you have two things. You have your deductible, and then you have your co-insurance. And your insurance basically will only cover 80%. Or on the best plan, it'll cover 80. It'll be 80-20, and then you'll have to pay the remaining 20% of everything on your co-insurance until you meet your out-of-pocket cost. And that out-of-pocket cost on the best plan is like $8,000. It wasn't like this before, and so you're paying for 20% of all your medical bills until you reach that. Now, for my wife, for example, like we have employer provided health insurance. That's paid 80%. And the out-of-pocket cost is $1,200. Yeah, $1,200 as opposed to $8,000. When we were operating under the employer provided healthcare system, which, by the way, employers, they hate that. They probably love Obamacare, and the insurance companies probably love Obamacare even more. And by the way, for the Obamacare plans, your premiums are going to be insane even with that. I mean, the premiums the premiums for that healthcare plan are like $1,300 a month. I don't understand how anybody in their right mind could think that Obamacare was a success. It raised the prices of premiums and did not provide good care. The only time it provides good care is when you are not working or making wages below the poverty line. That's the only people it helps. If you're middle class, you are paying through the roof for healthcare. Or you're wealthy and it doesn't matter, and you can go buy and you can get employer provided health insurance for yourself and have great health care. So the only people that suffer under this plan are the middle class. And that's hilarious because we're the ones subsidizing it with our tax money. The Obamacare is a disaster. Obamacare is an absolute disaster. And, you know, Joe Biden can say whatever he likes. It ain't the case. That ain't this Obamacare. Ain't it, Chief? It ain't it, Chief.
Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. But my predecessor and many in this chamber want to.
So why do we need Obamacare, by the way? Oh, if the main issue why we need Obamacare is because of people with pre-existing conditions, why not just have anybody with a pre-existing condition have the ability to go on Medicaid? Simple. Problem solved. Why do we need to do this weird thing where the poor don't have to pay anything for healthcare, but the middle class has to suffer to pay for healthcare unless they have an employer gracious enough to give them a good plan? Why does it have to be that?
Take this prescription drug away by repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again.
Is that Lauren Boebert?
Stopped you 50 times.
That's Lauren Boebert. I tweeted about her the other day. That one got a lot of impressions on it. Here, hold on. I got to show you guys this. This was actually really funny. Profile. Let's see where. She is just the worst. This is when I was just like, can we please get women out of politics? Can we please get women out of politics? This woman thinks that somehow it would benefit the Republican Party. It would benefit the Republican Party for us to wash our feet in public bathrooms. And look at it. She's like sticking her toe up the sink on top of it. Gross. That's disgusting. That is trashy. That's not classy. And you're supposed to be a member of the government. You're supposed to have at least a little bit of class. I mean, this is like trailer trash behavior. You can't be doing this sort of thing. And she's only doing it. I hate to say it on stream, but I'm going to say it out. There's some guys that are into feet. And I think she's trying to pander to them with this whole thing. And, you know, this is why you don't want women. You don't want women in politics. They try to, you know, use sex as a weapon. And that's not what sex is for. Sex is a gift from God. It's a sacred act between husband and wife, where, you know, two people come together and become one flesh with one another. And this is just a horrible example of what this right there, horrible example of what a woman should be like. And we don't want somebody, you know, showing our daughters and our wives that this is how they're supposed to act in public. It's just gross. I don't even care that she agrees with me on most things. It's just not worth it to be embarrassed and humiliated like this.
Before I will stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. We enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent. To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady.
You guys are going to call me a feminist for this one, but it's actually good that they're doing research into medical research for women. It's important because women's bodies, like the signs of a heart attack for a woman, are far different than they are for a man. There's a lot of things that are completely different, and the research into the research done into women is definitely like at a deficit in comparison to the research for men. Now, obviously, women are still more resilient despite that, and men still have it harder. But that said, you obviously want the best medical care for your wives and daughters, and you want them to have the proper care, and you don't want there to be a lack of research being the reason that you lose a dear loved one. So if the government is going to be funding research into things like that, that's a good thing. But here's the problem. It's probably all going to go into like transgenderism and abortion and contraception and all that sort of nonsense. So in that sense, it's a bad thing. But conceptually, the idea of putting, you know, more medical research towards into how things, you know, how different health diseases like harm women and stuff like that. Yeah, obviously that's a good thing. That's obviously a good thing. It's a shame that that's probably not what it's actually going to do.
Will pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting. I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home or trade up for a little more space. Just for 2 years.
That's an interesting plan. It is something that might actually be necessary because, like we were just looking at before with the price of housing, yeah. But here's the problem: where's he going to get that money? He's going to borrow that money from the Fed, and he says that he's trying to get inflation under control. But if he's going to give everybody buying a first home $400 a month, well, how does that not increase inflation again? And change that. I mean, all a mortgage company would have to do is increase mortgages by $400 a month because everybody would have $400 more a month. He'd have to make it illegal for them not to. And I don't know that he can do that. I don't know that there's anybody that has the power to do that. So frankly, like, I mean, the more I think about it, actually, I haven't heard about this plan before, but the more I think about it, I don't understand how this could even possibly work. It doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make sense. I don't see how this could work.
And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world.
Oh, here we go.
And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. You know.
Yeah, I got to teach them how to be gay young, don't you?
I think I pointed out last year. That children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard 1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is. More likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2- and 4-year degree, no matter what their background is.
Don't send your kids to college. Do not send your kids to college. They're going to be stuck with crippling debt unless they're like a math whiz and they're really good at science and they're going to go into some industry that pays them, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to do highly technical work, things like that, scientific work. Just don't. It's really not worth it. It's going to put you at a disadvantage. You'd be far better off going into a trade. And this is the lie that the baby boomers sold Americans on, young Americans on specifically. They sold Americans on this lie that if you go to college, there's a good paying job waiting for you as soon as you get out. So everybody went in there. They did, they wanted to become what they loved, what they had a passion for, instead of doing something that allows them to provide for a family and just letting work be work. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do a job that you enjoy if you can. If you can, you should. But that job needs to obviously provide. And if the job doesn't provide, you shouldn't be doing it. You should go learn a trade. You should go learn something like that. And honestly, trade schools, you won't be in debt and you'll probably be making more money than you will out of college. Now, there's obviously opportunity when you go to college for you to grow over long periods of time, but it's just not what it used to be. And you're going to be stuck with the debt because of that. And you're going to have to pay off that debt. And if you don't pay off that debt, you're in big trouble. So the fact that, this won't help America. This won't help the economy at all.
I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. I think, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade.
Learning to read is important, so whatever, that's good.
I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to good paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investments in HBCUs.
Pell Grants for trade school.
Minority-serving institutions, including Hispanic institutions.
That would be great. Maybe we have them and I don't know about it, but usually you got to pay that out of pocket.
And I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans. I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help after debt forgiveness.
Still doing it. They're still pushing college on people. No, it's just unbelievable.
And folks, look. Such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
No! Fire them all! Fire them all! I'm kidding. But, no, seriously, you can fire a vast majority of them. Come on, public school teachers need a raise? Dude, they only work 9 months out of the year. Oh, but they're developing curriculums. They use the same curriculum every single year. We don't need to be funding education anymore. In fact, we're not seeing the increase in aptitude the more funding we give to these schools. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're learning on an iPad or a high-quality computer versus a less high-quality computer. It doesn't matter if you have high-speed internet or if you have all these beautiful buildings, all these updates to everything. If your teachers are garbage, they're teaching you how to be gay. They're teaching you how to contracept. They're teaching you how to go to college and cripple yourself with student debt. That's what teachers are doing. That's what public school teachers are teaching you. Oh yeah, by the way, and the ones putting pornography in those public school libraries. So that's where your increased funding for education is going to go, your public education, funding these teachers. These teachers don't need any more funding. In fact, these teachers need to be punished for what they're doing to America's youth. They've been corrupting them. They've been subverting them, giving them anti-American ideas. Nope, not a cent more. In fact, you get a $10,000 deduction in your raise until test scores go up. That's what needs to happen with public school teachers. But right now he's catering to the teachers union because that's how he's going to do some campaigning.
And by the way, the first couple of years, we cut the deficit. Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. We've already cut the federal deficit over $1 trillion.
Okay.
I signed the bipartisan deal to cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share. Look, I'm a capitalist. You want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes.
Yeah, we already went over this.
A fair tax code is how we invest things and make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal.
I don't see how making the rich pay more taxes is gonna do anything right now. I mean, like we can look at this. What we need to do is we need to cut spending. That's what really is going to help America right now. And bear with me here. I want to show you guys this. Look at this. The top 1% of taxpayers, those who earn $561,351 or more, paid 42% of the total tax revenue collected in 2020. And think about this proportionally, guys. Proportionally speaking, that is 1% paying 42%. That's not equitable. That's not fair. And here's the problem. So when everybody who's paying, who makes $561,000 a year or more is paying 42% of the taxes, and they're in this super high tax bracket where they're losing, tens of thousands of dollars on their taxes, however much they're paying every year, tens of thousands of dollars on their taxes. All that money that went to taxes, that could have been another salary for a person. That could have been more wages for a person. And they just threw it away to give it to the government because they want to do frivolous spending on, like I said, the public education, teachers, whatever nonsense, they have going on with them. By the way, we're going to be covering a lot of this stuff in our premium content. If any of you guys watching this right now, we got quite a bit of people watching this stream right now. You haven't signed up for Red Top Premium yet, where you can. We have this Unalienable Rights series. We have a new episode coming out tomorrow, I believe, and you guys haven't watched it. You guys haven't watched it yet. You guys haven't signed up yet. It's $5.99 a month. Buy one less coffee. Buy one less subscription and start watching Red Top Report Premium. I mean, it allows me to keep doing this sort of commentary. It allows me to keep doing this stuff. You guys got to get with the program. I need to, if you look, I'm not in the top 1%. All right. I'm not in the top 1%. So I need you guys' support in order to keep doing this sort of thing. $5.99 a month. I think most everyone can afford that. Please, by all means. And by the way, I do appreciate anybody that comes and supports us. Like I said earlier, we have our boy Ricky here, who's actually a Giga Chatter. He gives us $25.99 a month, and that's actually going to give him the opportunity to join some of these live streams in the future. Now that we have the setup done, this is our first, this is what it's going to look like stream. So, guys, I mean, sign up. Trust me, you're not going to regret signing up. It's really great. Anyways, going back to this whole thing, yes, that's not how we should do things. The question that I should ask is, why aren't we taxing consumption? Don't Americans have a giant problem with spending? I don't know. Wait, guess what? Google's our friend. Americans are doom spending. Americans can't stop spending. Growing spending is the problem. It's not a revenue problem. It's a spending problem. Many Americans say they're spending more than they earn. Okay, so here's what we do. If we want to discourage people from spending so much money, here's a question that everybody should be asking. And the question that they should be asking is quite simple. Why don't we tax consumption? Why don't we tax how much we buy? Then the rich are paying their taxes and what they pay for. We put a national sales tax on things and we don't pay any income taxes. We don't deal with any of that. And then everybody's paying their fair share. And people are going to be more frugal. They're going to be inclined to spend less money and to consume less and to save more and to provide a better future for themselves. Now, the corporations hate that because that means there's less people ruining their finances, buying their crap. They don't want that. But do the American people potentially want that? Yeah, I think so. I think that would be good because it pressures us to be responsible with our spending. And we want to be responsible with our spending. We want our children to be responsible with their spending. So why aren't we taxing consumption? Why don't we put that national sales tax down? And yes, that means prices are going to go up, but you're going to be making an extra four, and if you're in the 1%, tens of thousands of dollars extra every single year because of that, because your income tax is going to be gone. How awesome would that be? I've never understood why people are so against this. It makes no sense to me at all. But anyways, let's. So no, the fair tax. I mean, it's you might as well call it an unfair tax because like they're already the 1% is paying 42% of all of our is responsible for 42% of our revenue already. They're paying well over their fair share in taxes, and all you're doing is taking away their ability to use that money to create jobs.
Deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut, overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any presidential term in American history. Check the numbers.
Because of COVID. Because of COVID. You don't see, this is what I'm talking about. This is the dishonesty. There was COVID and everybody was locked down, so we had to send relief checks to everybody so that they were able to pay the rent by the end of it. And to be fair, even Trump at the beginning of the pandemic did not know what this virus was, and none of us Americans knew what it was either, and we thought it could be very deadly, so we locked down and we only had essential workers. Now, obviously, in hindsight, that was a horrible thing for the American economy, and it totally was not worth all the craziness surrounding it. But that said, that was the reasoning behind it. And that's why, our national debt exploded right there, because we basically doubled our deficit that year. So we paid double. We basically did $3 trillion on the relief checks and then another $3 trillion on the annual cost of our budget. So that's insane.
Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet.
This is like the communist rhetoric where it's just like, where it's like, I'm going to make them pay, not you. Like, we don't need class warfare. We actually need better relations between management and workers, which, I mean, corporate America is not making it easy with their, globalism and DEI standards and, I hate white people nonsense. But that said, whatever.
Yeah. In fact, the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half. Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax code fair is to make big corporations and the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
So he's talking about the corporate tax
Remember
rate.
In 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero.
This is important, though, when it comes to taxation. This is this is another reason I support taxes on consumption, like a national sales tax. You can't really circumvent it. There really aren't loopholes. The ultra wealthy paying $0 in taxes, they're doing it because they're smart. And this is something that Donald Trump said. Donald Trump's right about that. They're doing it because they're smart. They can afford to put it in an overseas bank account, so their money and stuff is never here. So it's never able to be taxed as income on their income tax. And this is the whole reason that income tax is a silly system to begin with. When you tax consumption, they have to pay it when they buy it. Obviously, I guess there could be like black market deals where they could buy stuff without having to pay sales tax on it. But that's really the only way you can avoid it. And black markets are a lot easier to combat, in my opinion, than offshore bank accounts. And that's sort of the problem. These people find loopholes in the tax code to avoid, paying taxes. And so what we do is we create more laws and more laws and more laws to try and close those tax loopholes. And then what do we get? What do we get when we try to close those tax loopholes? We get more red tape. Makes it more difficult for business owners to make money. It becomes a convoluted mess. Just get rid of all of it. Let's go to a tax that's based on consumption, and then rich people will be paying whatever they choose to pay.
Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%.
Yeah, and this is what I was saying about trickle down. I mean, yeah, a lot of times the corporations do profits, but this is why we need smart employment negotiators. It's why we need unions to negotiate on behalf of the people that are not smart negotiators. We need that. We can't have corporations ripping us off. We can't have workers that are uncompetitive. We can't have workers that are unable to negotiate. It's just a massive problem. It's a massive, massive problem. And that's why the trickle down economics isn't working, and why the gap between rich and poor is growing. You don't want there to be that big of a gap between rich and poor. You want an illustrious middle class. That shows that your country is succeeding. And our middle class is not. Is our middle class growing? Let me actually look this up. I don't think it's been growing for decades. Let's see. No, it's not here. Nope. Yeah, see, it's shrinking. Share of adults in U.S. middle class has decreased considerably since 1971. This is Pew Research, so it's good. The numbers are good. 1971, 61% were middle income. Now only 50% are middle income. And get this, the number in lower income is higher. Now, to be fair, the number in upper income is higher as well. But still, we have a shrinking middle class. That's not a good thing. That's not what you want to see. Now, this is in 2021, obviously. So, but this has been a recurring problem for decades. So it's something to think about.
So every big corporation finally begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million that could be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse.
Jeez, why are they doing Marco Rubio like that? They have him like glaring like he's like dead. He's like death staring him right now. Oh boy, yeah, they're making Marco Rubio look like he is not a fan of corporate tax. That's funny. Oh, that's so funny. Anyways, yeah, they're like the media is doing him dirty right here by zooming in on him right now. He's probably just tired. He's probably just done listening to it. Probably just done listening to the empty promises and the nonsense that he's been spewing the entire time. And he's just like, oh, I just want to go home. I just want to eat dinner. And he's just giving like that stare and and stuff. And then they cut to him like he's mad. You guys notice that Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, hasn't stood up one time? You guys don't know Mike Johnson's the guy to the right of
minimum tax for billionaires at 25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with.
Oh, this is so bad. Yeah, this is so bad. There was people talking about this.
Paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member.
Well, no, maternity leave is good. Maternity leave is definitely something that should be necessary. You can't. Even the Catholic Church supports maternity leave. I can't remember. I think the USCCB said something about it. Yeah. Following the passage from the Family Medical Leave Act of 1993, all qualified employees in the United States are entitled to 12 weeks of unpaid leave for family or medical reasons, including for serious health condition of the employee, parent, spouse, child, pregnancy of the child, or for the adoption or foster care of a child. The Bishops' Conference had long supported the principle of family leave before FMLA became law, reflected in their statements Economic Justice for All, pages 207 to 208, and Putting Children and Families First. Quote, for 7 years, our conference has called for a law to protect people who have to take time away from their jobs to handle serious family responsibilities. Parents should not worry about losing their jobs when they welcome a new child, nurse a sick spouse, or comfort a dying parent. I mean, that's correct. We're pro family here. You know, it's not like you're on your own. We're not rugged individualists. We're Catholics. We're Christians. You know what I mean? We believe in the family, and this is a pro family policy: is to have paid family leave being a requirement. Family needs to be encouraged, not discouraged. But here's the problem. A lot of this stuff is geared towards daycare. They want to have daycare paid for as well. Well, this poses a major problem because it kind of de-incentivizes women from staying with, and I'm not talking about abusive people, or anything like that, but staying with their husbands and not getting divorced and becoming single moms and being forced into the workforce. That sort of thing is bad. We don't want to encourage that. We don't want to believe that, or we don't want to take part in that sort of behavior. And that's why I say, from a deeper perspective, on a deeper level, yes, it's a good idea, but the way Biden wants to do it with the daycare, all it's doing is incentivizing single motherhood and making it easier to be a single mother, because you don't want daycare for your kids. If you have to put your kid in daycare, that is a tragedy. It's a tragedy to put your kid in daycare. You're depriving him of a mother during the day. You're leaving him with someone else. Why are you paying somebody else to raise your kid? Why is the government paying somebody else to raise your kid? Public school, same thing. You're paying somebody else to raise your kid. You need to raise your kids. That's what the rules should be. That's how America should operate. And you can tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong about that. We don't need to be paying for daycare. We need to be incentivizing people to stay married, to tough it out when marriage gets tough. There are lots of ups and downs in marriages, and we don't need the state coming in and making it more relieving for people who leave their husbands for no good reason. There's no reason for that. No daycare, no paid daycare. Take care of your child. Stay with your husband. Let your husband provide for you. And if for some reason you have to put your kid in daycare, society should raise up charitable sources, charitable institutions, churches, community-based fundraising initiatives to help you in those situations. This should not be coming out of the taxpayer's pocket. We should have institutions in place that protect families, that support families, and that view tragedies like that, where say there was somebody who has, a woman who has an abusive husband and unfortunately has to now work all day long as a waitress to get by and to pay the bills and make sure that their kid is able to have all the materials he needs to survive and become a thriving member of society. That's a tragedy. That's not a good thing. And and the community should come together and maybe do some sort of, community thing where you can stay with your a neighbor that you're friends with, or stay with a friend, stay with a family member, to have the babysitting done by them on the days that the person has to work. There has to be the church could provide for the daycare services, something like that. But the last thing we need is anybody subsidize the government subsidizing women to leave their husbands and tough it out on their own in the job market and in the workforce where they're used and abused by men. It's not good. It is not a situation that you want to be in at all.
Imagine the future of home care and elder care and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends
Back to boomers.
on the other side of the aisle want to put
No
Social
offense,
Security
boomers.
on the
We love the
chopping
boomers
block.
too. We love the boomers too.
If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you. Anyone here tries to cut Social, I want to put Social Security on the chopping block.
Who is that?
If anyone here
Well,
tries to cut Social
Come
Security,
on,
Medicare, or
man.
raise
That's
the
what he
retirement
said.
age, I will stop you.
Oh, that's great.
The working people. The working
Yeah,
people who built this.
Republicans care a lot about seniors because seniors are their voting base. I think they're a little fed up with that because the government spending is going to harm seniors in the end.
Country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have two ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan.
Oh, yeah, they're calling him a liar now. Oh, this issue of all things, we talk about, like killing children, stuff like that, and this is what the Republicans choose to get mad about. Talking about like forcing women, incentivizing women to leave their husbands, destroying American families. They don't care about any of that stuff, but you bring this up, and all of a sudden everybody's mad, and they're calling him a liar.
Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy.
Cut tax breaks and cuts to the wealthy. This is what the Republican Party cares about: is taxes. That's it. Low taxes, nothing. There's nothing deep. There's nothing cultural. There's nothing. There's no identifier that makes somebody a Republican except wanting to lower taxes, because that's what their corporate donors want that everybody to care about. And in reality, it's just people want issues to be discussed that they are passionate about and issues that matter to American families internally. And there are a lot of social issues that are very, very, very important. I mean, and immigration obviously being a top priority.
That's the proposal. Oh no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealth. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share.
Yay, more fair share stuff.
Too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations engaged in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation.
Yeah, but this has been going on for the longest time. They always do this sort of thing. And honestly, inflation has gone up, and the economy is demonstrably worse than it was pre-COVID. So in this situation, this is the type of thing that corporations are going to do to cut costs. And yes, Americans ultimately do suffer, but hold on. Let's see. Oh, hold on. Here we go. This is what we want. Let's take a look at this. Well. Prevalence of obese adults. And it's not, Mexico. So that's like 17%. Am I reading that right? 18%, 20%, 19%, but there's the United States, 11%. Now we're getting healthier than we were before. We used to be the most obese nation in the world. I'm going to be honest with you, eating a little bit less chips, probably good for Americans, not bad for Americans. Let's just be honest. And so no, that it's really not that big of a deal. That said, it's, it is deceptive pricing. So it's, that's not great.
Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this. I really mean it. You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8.
This is actually a good thing that Joe Biden is doing. This is a really good thing because I don't know if you know about this, but the Catholic Church teaches, and we can go look at this. Yep, the Fifth Lateran Council, 1512 to 1517, states that the crime of usury or injustice, that is to say, a clearly defined evil, is to be avoided. Now, the church's stance on usury has developed over time, and there's a reason that it's developed over time. And this, by the way, typically the Catholic Church will have its positions on things like usury and stuff. And a lot of times, you know, most Christians will generally agree with it. So I like going the Catholic route. I'm Catholic myself, obviously. So that's another reason I'm biased. I love the Catholics. We're number one. But outside of that point, I think that the teachings on usury are important because it's developed over time. And there's a reason for that. A lot of people have a problem because they used to say all interest on loans was usury, which was sinful. You're not supposed to charge interest on loans because money should not beget money, as Aristotle put it. And so as capitalism evolved, and as you know, more and more peasants, you know, and medieval peasants started moving into towns and starting businesses and partaking in industry and production and things like that. What you saw throughout Europe was a change in the economy and how the economy worked. You know, the economy didn't work in the traditional medieval sense, the feudal sense of things. And that was where the Lord granted you, your parcel of land, or rented you, or gave you that parcel of land, and you were to farm it for him. And a certain portion of that farmland would be used for you, the peasant, to feed your family, while another portion was meant to go to the Lord in order to provide the resources that he needs in order to run the kingdom. Now, as people started gaining independent wealth in addition to their farming income by going into the towns, there was this merchant class that was being created. And from that, you have now people engaging in loaning money. And in that loaning money, there was abuses of it. And a lot of it, not a lot of people like to say this, but a lot of that usury was done by Jewish communities because Catholics were barred from engaging in what they called usury at the time. Now, as it developed, as capitalism became about, in order to function in the society, you actually had to take loans on money, and there was actually no incentive for bankers to provide loans. There was no way for them to make money on loans. There was no way for the system to actually work that way when people needed loans, when you had to purchase your property and do things that way using money. So what they did was they developed the doctrine developed on usury. The definition of developed to mean that usury is charging exorbitant interest. And I think everybody agrees that the late fees on credit cards are usurious. And dropping the late fees on those, punishing somebody that harshly for being in a predicament with their own credit and being unable to pay, reducing that to $8 is kind of a reduction of the penalties for usury, because these credit cards have 20-25% interest on, a lot of the time on them. Now, some have 15, some have 10, there's some that have 3%. If you have 3% on a credit card, I'd be very impressed. But when you have that's usury. I mean, 20% interest on something, that's exorbitant. That's a lot of money. And it's very, very difficult when you're in credit card debt to get yourself out of it. So, you look at usurious practices by our banking industry like that. I mean, it's no shock that people have a spending problem, because you offer them credit and they're unable to pay it back because they're paying 20% interest every month on the balance that they carry over on. It's not good. And it's not Catholic. And if Biden is trying to mitigate some of the effects of those usurious prices by doing this, that's actually a Catholic thing to do. It's actually a good thing to do. So credit where credit is due on that one. Biden's doing the right thing.
Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more a hell of a lot like $8 and 30 some dollars. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. But I'm saving American families.
The worry about
$20
this is that it will
billion
raise
a year with all
interest
the
rates
junk
on credit
fees
cards
I'm
even
running.
more, though, which we wouldn't want.
Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad. It's $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration has proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front so there are no surprises. It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest.
By the way, guys, you ought to stick around. I'll take questions from people at the end of this, so you can just throw them in the comments and I'll answer them. And you can start throwing them in now if you want. I'm not. I will get to them.
The border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so?
Just wait. Let's listen to this again.
The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen.
No. Look at. When is this from? This is from the 2023 illegal border crossing surge. So what is a sustained high? Are they meaning that there's that's oh my gosh, yeah. Here we go. Migrant crossings along the southern border increase as officials prepare for larger spike. Guys, this is 3 days ago. This is 3 days ago. Border Patrol agents recorded approximately 140,000 migrant apprehensions between official ports of entry along the U.S.-Mexico border last month, up from 124,000 in January when unlawful crossings plunged. The U.S. officials said, requesting anonymity to discuss internal and preliminary government data. Another 50,000 migrants were processed at ports of entry, where the Biden administration is admitting those who use a government mobile app to secure an appointment to enter the U.S. The number of migrant crossings in February is still far below the record levels of migration reported in December when 302,000 migrants were processed by U.S. immigration authorities. But the increase in illegal entries from January indicates that migration is rebounding heading into the spring when migrant arrivals has spiked in recent years. So it's going to go up again. So in other words, no, this is not, he's not controlling the border at all. The border is just as bad as it's ever been.
Oh, you don't think so?
No, we don't think so.
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing.
He sounds like an angry grandpa. It's just not. Man, this. I mean, everybody's like, the nerve that you have, especially if you're like, you know, a congressman or a senator from a border state. Boy, that should make you very upset. Because I mean, Biden fought tooth and nail, like you know, with the Republicans trying to avoid the bill that would have actually secured the border.
That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against?
That's Langsford from Oklahoma, I believe.
100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives.
You fought against
And
a lot
the
of. You
border.
fought against making this bill work because
You
you're
also
demanding
give
they
me
become
90
citizens.
new-
He's demanding that these people have pathways to citizenship so they can be processed quicker, so they can go through quicker. This isn't helping the problem. The point is we don't want them coming anymore.
President, new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce has, You're saying low. Look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so
Is that
far.
Marjorie Taylor Greene in
I'm
the
told my
background?
predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, I called it. It's Yep, it's MTG. I knew she was the one yelling. Boy, she got such a lot of shit. I agree with her on most things, but once she's like Lauren Boebert to me, just bad example. She get her out of put somebody that believes what she does. That's like a well-rounded father and a man, and a real man. Like we don't need this turbo suburban soccer momming in the Senate is incredibly annoying.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed.
Lincoln Riley. He didn't even pronounce the name right. It's Laken Riley. Am I wrong about that? Hold on. Let's look up the pronunciation, but I'm almost positive.
Anyone with $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal.
This is just terrible. All these ads.
Governor Burt Jones has introduced new legislation to combat what he says are sanctuary city policies.
The measure comes in the wake of the death of Augusta University nursing student Laken Riley.
Yeah, Laken Riley. Lincoln Riley. He pronounced the name. Wow, that is a gaffe. That's a bad gaffe. And it even says so right on. All he had to do was read it.
By an illegal. That's right. But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegal?
Wait, don't the Democrats say that you can't call them illegals? You have to call them undocumented or whatever. That's hilarious. And what's even funnier is that like MTG is like wearing the button too and has a picture of her on there. That's interesting.
To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you.
You let them in. That's what she's saying. That's true. That's true.
Having lost children myself, I understand. But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing.
Dude, hold on. I want to make sure I'm right about this. Dude, they're here because of you. They're here because of you. I don't know, I don't even understand it. Oh, that makes me it's so good. It's so good. Dude, the only reason they're able to cross is because you're not building the wall. You're not building the wall, continuing the wall that Trump started to build. Wow. Yeah, no wonder Republicans are mad. Now, I wouldn't do this if I was in the chambers like MTG is, by the way. But still, it's just like, come on.
Hearing. And it's worth it taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks.
Yeah, the Republicans are not
I
liking
would respectfully
this.
suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people. Get this bill done. We need to act now.
Yeah, Byron Donald. I could not say his name.
And if my predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics
Maybe build a wall.
and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together. But that's what he apparently, here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
They are. What are you talking about, dude? A lot of these people are. I mean, well, first off, all of them are criminals. So if you have a class of Americans that are literally criminals, a class of Americans, we're talking about millions of people who broke our immigration law to get here. All of these people that broke the law to come in, and no, they're not asylum seekers all the time. A lot of them just waltz across the border and try to avoid Border Patrol agents to the best of their ability. You have millions of these people coming in illegally, breaking our laws, not going through our citizenship process, which, by the way, that we shouldn't even be taking anybody in right now for at least 10 years. We need to get a handle on our culture, because what happens is these people grow, they all come in, they don't know the language of the country, they don't understand the culture of the country, and they all move to where people that share their, ethnicity, that share their language, that share all those things, they all move to the exact same place in all of these sanctuary cities and all these American cities generally, and they all go there and form an enclave and don't assimilate to American culture. That's ridiculous. What's up, B. Cato? Welcome back. Glad to see you here. And dude, I am, and they form these enclaves. They don't speak English. They don't follow the culture. They don't follow the culture of the country that they live in. And all of these things, by the way, this is required by, even according to the USCCB and Catholic teaching. So, I mean, let's see, or the Catechism, I'm sorry. Look at this. Look at this. Right here. This is the Catechism, paragraph 2241. I'll zoom in so you can see it better. Immigrants are obliged to respect with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them, to obey its laws, and to assist in carrying civic burdens. Now, obviously, it means just laws. Holy cow. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, what is poisoning? What does he mean by poisoning America's bloodline? What does he mean by that? He means these people coming in and fundamentally changing what it means to be an American, because there's this new class of people that are replacing gradually the people that already lived here. The Western Europeans that lived here, that founded this country, that created the ideas in this country. Those people are replacing them. That is poisoning the bloodline, because these people are not assimilating. They're not following the teachings of Christianity. They're not respecting with gratitude the material and spiritual heritage of the country that receives them. And they are none of them, not a single one of them is obeying the laws to assist in carrying civic burdens. In fact, they are becoming civic burdens by going and using our emergency rooms, which is going to drive up the cost of healthcare for everybody else. They're doing all sorts of horrible things like that. They're using public schooling systems. They're doing all of these things. They're taking advantage of all of the services that come with being an American citizen without actually being an American citizen and going through the process. That is a violation of Catholic teaching. Anybody that says otherwise needs to re-examine their things. And that's it. That's it. And by the way, no country is obligated to give anybody citizenship if they don't want to. They're supposed to help refugees. Catholics are supposed to help refugees, but they are not obliged to give somebody citizenship. That's a fundamental problem that a lot of left-wing Catholics and Christians will try to state about, helping the foreigner or whatever, the things that they read in the Bible. It's just not true. Anyways.
I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first.
What if the faith teaches something dangerous and diametrically opposed to the American idea? This goes back to what I've been telling people for the longest time. America needs a state church. America needs a national church. You know, the state we should really do, because we can't agree on a specific denomination, is we should go back to state-run churches. And yeah, that would mean a majority of states would be Protestant, but at least there'd be some sort of moral compass guiding all of these states, because as of right now, and we should have a Catholic state too and all this stuff. But at this point, you know, I mean, it's an evangelization game. We got to get everybody down with Jesus. We got to get more Christians. We got to give birth to more Christians. You know, Trump needed to, peace. Yeah, there we go. This is good. Trump needed to lock up Hillary. Yeah, no doubt. He should have locked up Hillary. Should lock up Biden next too. These people don't love America. They don't love America. And that's a huge issue. So I don't see how you can say that importing a migrant peasant class that doesn't speak the language, that doesn't respect the laws of the country, is somehow demonizing these people. I'm not demonizing these people. They have earned the label that they have through their actions. They've earned the label. So they've earned the label of poisoning America's bloodline. They didn't have to. They could have done things the right way, but they didn't. And because they didn't, that's the label that they're going to get.
First day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers. And so much more.
Yeah, see, there he goes with the pathway to citizenship. He's importing voters. He's importing people that will vote Democrat, because they're going to be sent. These people are going to be sent over to community organizers that are all Democrats, and those community organizers are going to go around and tell them that they need to vote for these people, and this is how they need to vote. And all of these illegals that get their pathway to citizenship are going to come into the country, and they're all going to start voting Democrat. And I guarantee you, if all the Hispanics illegally immigrating to the United States, and it's not just Hispanics anymore, by the way, all the world's gutter trash is coming over that border illegally right now. I'm not saying there's not some good people that might be crossing the border, but there's no people that are respectful of our laws. So that would make you a good person. But you know what I mean? That's really telling. That, you know, if they all started voting Republican, do you really think the Democrats would suddenly be, would you think the Democrats would still be, give them citizenship. We love human beings and we're going to lose every election for the next 20 years. Yeah, this is Cato, you got it right. Voter replacement, the dark side of democracy. You can replace voters by bringing in new people. What you're doing is, and this is, everybody will say here, I can, let's just do a quick little Google search to show everybody what's up here. What's it called? Great. Yeah, here we go. Great replacement. The Great Replacement, also right here. The Great Replacement, also known as replacement theory or Great Replacement theory, is a white nationalist far-right conspiracy theory. And the idea of this replacement is that the Democrats want people coming in from the third world to replace and make America majority non-white. America's white majority is aging out. White Americans will become a minority. Census shows U.S. is diversifying. Boy, that's some charitable language. America is becoming more urban, more diverse, and less white. They brag about that this is happening. They just like everything. U.S. is white for the first time ever. 2020 census finds, because we're having less kids now. Look at this. Reflecting a demographic shift, 109 U.S. counties have become majority non-white since 2000. This was in 2019. It's probably more than that now. The U.S. white majority will soon disappear forever. White nationalists want America to be white again, but this will never happen. America is on its way to becoming predominantly non-white. Bragging about it. Bragging about it. And you're telling me that it's a white nationalist conspiracy theory? Get real. Get real. This is what I'm talking about. Like, dude, like when you're telling us that something is happening and that you like that it's happening, and Democrats are demonstrating that they want to make it as easy as possible for these people to get into the country and also do everything in their power to ensure that they are anti-white with their, critical race theory in public schools. What else are they doing? What's the point of it all? And it goes back to supporting the corporate overlords and the globalists. They want people that negotiate for less pay so they can keep more of the profits. You don't become a billionaire unless you're addicted to making money. So it's not even about being richer. You can already buy whatever you want when you're when you have $10 billion, like these WEF guys have. Or even $3 billion. You can buy pretty much anything that you want. It's just about having more than the other guy that has $10 billion or the guy that has $20 billion or $40 billion. It's an addiction to greed. And that is a deadly sin. So think about that. Think about that. Where we're at right now is directly related to the corporate overlords' desire to have a dumber populace that they can rake in more money from by paying them less. Because in these third world countries, they don't negotiate for pay like those evil straight white union males that want to have health care and benefits for their families and higher wages for their families. They don't stand for that. They don't do that. They'll vote against that sort of thing. So they need to bring in new voters. And those new voters are going to have to be a little bit more impressionable, a little less familiar with developed civilization, first world civilization. That's the goal. That's what they want to do. That's what they're pushing and why they're pushing it. And they brag about it. And that's why they brag, like I said. And they say white nationalists want America to be white again. You know what? This is a Western, America was founded to be a Western European country. Yes, there was slavery and black people were, brought over from Africa because they were bought from other Africans that enslaved other Africans, by the way. Yeah, that all happened. That all happened. And yes, there's a black population in the United States. We're not talking about that. But what about all this massive increases in immigration? And people say, well, what about the Italians? And what about the Germans? And what about these people? Dude, we had a century of crime, organized crime resulting from that. It took a long time to get over it. We've sure paid the price. And by the way, there's people in power right now that were former mafia members that are now in legitimate business because they made all their money and kept all their money. And not just Italian mafia, Jewish mafias like the Purple Gang in Detroit. Lots of different mafias are in control of America right now. And a lot of them lobby. Oh my gosh, it is so bad. And yeah, this is an attitude that a lot of people have, right? Thanks for taking them off our hands. Yeah, we get all the crap. We get all the people that are not good people. We get all the jerks, all the morons, all the losers. They all come into our country and it becomes our responsibility. That's precisely why we need to secure our border and why it's so important. And it's precisely why Joe Biden isn't doing anything about it. But anyways, that's just a thought.
Unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans and ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people from every place on earth. They came freely.
Yeah, none of this was the case pre-1965. Matter of fact, you can look this up yourself. American demographics, 1965. 84% of Americans were non-Hispanic whites. 84%. Now let's do white alone percent. No, this is, race and Hispanic origin. Let's see. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, this doesn't want to load, does it? These are from the Census Bureau, but they're not loading. Yeah, that's not loading. Let's see. Wow, this is actually harder than I thought it would be to find. They don't want to show this. It's actually kind of funny. That's hilarious. Yep, right here. White alone, not Hispanic or Latino. 58.9%. From 82 to 58.9%. That's where we're at now. And you're telling me that there's not something going on at all? Nothing is happening? I mean, it's just silly. This is clearly what they're doing.
Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans.
This is called the magic dirt theory, where if like you touch the soil of the United States of America, you automatically become a fully assimilated American, and where you're from is not, it has nothing to do with it at all whatsoever. We all know that that's not true. Obviously, there are people that are more American than others, and more, yeah. I mean, and that's the problem that we see here. You know, we're changing as a nation and not for the better.
We have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it.
He's not fixing anything. He's made it worse.
Send me the border bill now.
Sign the border bill the Republicans send you.
A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him. But joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers.
I have absolutely no idea what this has to do with immigration and a border bill.
She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I think that's the first time he's actually stood up and clapped over something. And Mike Johnson's like, look at me. I'm not racist. I'm proving I'm not racist. I'm clapping for the civil rights leaders right now. And it's just like, dude, the civil rights movement has put forward so much bad law that has had so many awful externalities. I mean, come on. Like, come on. Like, there are so many problems that came from it. I mean, like affirmative action, all that, like all that anti-white racist, like hiring practices, all comes from the civil rights movement. I mean, this sort of thing is completely nonsense. The creation of protected classes in the United States of America, it's just stupid.
But 59 years later, there are forces taking us back in time. Voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis was a great friend to many of us here. But if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act.
See, this is what he's trying to do. So this is partially how he's going to want to steal the election. This is what Democrats do. They always try to expand voter rights to do this, that, and the other. Dude, if you're too stupid to vote under the current system, you shouldn't be voting at all because you're a moron. It's very easy. When you go renew your driver's license, or when you go renew anything, you can go anywhere you want and say, like, would you like to register to vote? You sign up to register to vote. Then when you register to vote, they will send you a voting card in the mail and tell you where your polling location is. And you can go to your polling location, walk up there, fill out a piece of paper, and you should have to provide a photo ID to be able to do that. Some cases you have to, other cases you don't. And then you go up there, you pick who you want to, you put your vote in tabulator, and you leave. If you're too dumb to do that, you don't belong voting in an election, because I don't trust that you've researched the candidates. I don't trust that you care about the situation at all whatsoever. So when you say you're expanding voting rights, you're saying you want more morons, more idiots voting, more bozos voting. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. You don't want idiots electing your leaders. You don't want more people electing your leaders. You want good people that do the work, that are responsible, disciplined. You want them electing those leaders. Because stupid people only vote for what they want. They don't vote for things that are good. You know, and you ask a good question. Why doesn't he just enforce the law as is? Yeah, I don't know.
John Lewis Voting Right Act. And stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life.
Nah, not an American value. I hate to break it to you. Preamble to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And our posterity, not our diversity. It's very, very clear in the United States Constitution that this is for the children of Americans. This is for American citizens. That's the idea. It's for citizens. We are part of something. We are a community of people. We have an identity, and that identity is in Western civilization, the greatness, the morality founded by, underpinned by the teachings of the Catholic faith and an understanding of natural law. All of that is part of the posterity. And this is the preamble to the United States Constitution. I mean, this is like what we're about. It's right there. It's right up front. No, diversity is not an American value. It never was. We weren't prideful of the fact that we had people from every corner of the globe coming here and using and abusing us.
Banning books. It's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history.
Banning
I want to protect fundamental rights.
What kind of books is he talking about? Is he talking about the porn in public school libraries?
Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living more than $7 an hour. We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it.
Oh, geez.
I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBEW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
I mean, how much is that actually going to reduce our our CO2, to be honest with you? Just a question. How much is that actually going to reduce our CO2? I mean, dude, like you're going to plug in your car and while your car is charging, most of the electrical grid in the United States is powered by coal. So you're just going to be pumping a bunch of coal pollution into the air, which is worse than oil pollution. So I don't understand how exactly that helps, but I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid.
Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. And taking action on environmental justice fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. And pattern after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade.
I don't know why everybody talks about how gorgeous she is. She's got like a horse mouth. I don't find her very attractive at all whatsoever. So that's just my personal opinion, but that's what guys on the internet are always talking about.
To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rate.
Do you hear the guys in the background? Oh, I love it.
Up 30%. 30% they went up.
What?
Before I took office,
What did he say?
America is safer today than when I took office. Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up.
I can't hear what he said.
The biggest increase
United
in
States
history.
Marines.
It was then through my.
Oh,
American
I
Rescue
think I've
Plan,
heard
which
about
every-
this. This guy got like escorted out. He was arrested for a misdemeanor, I think. Hold on. Yeah, Gold Star father arrested for State of the Union heckling. Steve Nicoy arrested for heckling Biden. The father of a Marine who died. The father of a Marine who died in the Kabul International Airport bombing during the 2021 U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan faces charges after interrupting President Joe Biden's State of the Union address Thursday night. Steve Nicoy, 51, father of Marine Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nicoy, who was just 20 years old when he was killed, was arrested Thursday after shouting Abbey Gate and United States Marines during Biden's speech. Yeah. Let's just arrest Gold Star fathers. I'll tell you what, if I were Biden and I was looking to score some political points, I'd definitely be pardoning him for that one. Yeah, I think he has a reason to be upset.
American voted against, I'm mad.
Especially after he's saying that America's safer now. And by the way, that's not true. Yeah, here we go. News Nation. Victimization rates are highest in urban areas. Property crime is also more common in urban areas. Violent crime rose in urban, rural, and suburban areas across the U.S. in 2022, according to the nation's largest crime survey released this month. As has historically been the case, violent crime was highest in urban areas. Violent crime went up by a similar proportion in rural areas last year, but remains much lower overall. Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Violent crime rates in the United States. So here we go. Right here, we have a graph. Rate per 100,000 people. 2012. So then it dropped down in 2014. It went way up in 2016, dropped back down. 2019, and then 2020, it went way up, and then it started going down into 2022. That's interesting. So it looks like it's probably going to go up again, or it's on track, or is going up right now. Violent crime is, yeah, here we go. Violent crime is down in U.S. cities. Let's see. 37 cities across the U.S. is above pre-pandemic levels, which means that crime got worse. Just experiencing crime. This is very interesting. Anyways, it's not that important, but oh, we hit some good live amount. That's good to hear. Glad to see that. Anyways, let's continue.
We made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention.
I hate this when they try to say that like crime is because of a mental health issue. No, crime is not because of a mental health issue. Crime is because of a sin issue in many cases. Mental health isn't what makes somebody go out and commit a crime.
Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking. Keep building trust as they've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or having on their record. Take on crimes of domestic violence. I'm ramping up the Federal Enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America.
Surge against the scourge against women in America is contraception, to be honest with you, more than anything else. Contraception, abortion, we're destroying their souls. You know, I mean, I forget what the statistics are, but it's relatively low on domestic violence in the United States of America. Most women are not domestically abused. Not even close to most are domestically abused, but most women are on contraception. Most women are on contraception right now. That's a scourge. That's a problem. It changes their hormones, does all sorts of bad things.
There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. The constant refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something. Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, that the Vice President is leading the charge.
I want to say, I think that this is this, there might be a video of this. I don't know if this is Biden's task force or not, but I saw like one of the ATF's technology guys, like he was unable to even disassemble a Glock. Hold on, let's see if I can find it. That's actually important. Hold on. It's here somewhere.
Chris is here. He's one of our leading experts. So that's the frame.
Holy shit.
Oh, no, bad language. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry, guys.
And Chris is here. He's one of our
Let's see. There we go.
So that's the frame. You don't, if you're selling
Is there any?
market parts.
He struggles to get it off. And it's so easy, too. It's just like
Basically,
two
what
tabs.
they do is they make this part here.
This is like plastic.
So this is the not afraid with the law that Congress gave us.
Look at these. Wait.
Is we tried to determine, but I mean, what we did is we tried to work with what the law that
Can't get
Congress gave
it.
us.
He just got to pull down the tabs.
Receiver, this is a frame. This is a frame. A frame is on.
And he just hands it off because he's like, I can't do this, man.
We take the frame and say, hey, you know, Congress said we.
Anyway,
can,
so that's
we can
that.
regulate
That's that.
frame.
Sorry. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president.
Okay, you don't need to do anything about guns because guns aren't the actual problem. I'm going to be honest with you. Guns aren't the actual problem. The problem that we have is that we don't hold people accountable for the crimes that they commit. We do not have strict punishments for people, and we let gun criminals out of prison. Holy cow. I mean, was it Newsmax that came out with this article? Look at this. For example, this is on Facebook, so there we go. The MSU shooter was let off of a jail sentence by far-left prosecutor Carol Simon. It's always far-left politicians that let off these gun criminals. They don't hold people accountable. And I don't know, maybe this is the reason, because we got too many women in office that are trying to mother the criminals. We don't need to be mothering criminals. We need to be disciplining criminals. If you break the law in an egregious way, if you commit a gun crime, guess what? You're done. You're done. It's that simple. You're done. You have failed society, or society has failed you. I don't care which happened. You have failed society. You no longer are welcome. Get out. Go to prison. Do whatever. If you get a death sentence, get executed, whatever you got to do. But that's why gun crime is a problem.
after another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
Mike Johnson's like shaking his head.
I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
What is that going to do?
Pass universal background checks.
You already get
None of
background
this.
checks when you get a gun. What's that
None
going
of
to do?
this.
He's not doing anything that
I
solves the
fought the
problem.
Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment.
It all,
Or
yes.
vilifies responsible gun owners.
Republicans.
You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home.
Let a TurboTax full-service expert do your tax.
All right. Yeah. So he's talking about Israel now, and I'll go a little bit into that. And Mike Johnson stands up for that one too. So there's a bit more nuance. I think there's a bit more nuance to this than Biden lets on. Obviously, when you look at the situation with Israel, yeah, they say that there's these Americans that are held hostage. Well, yes, they do have American citizenship, but a lot of them are Jews with dual citizenship. So they're actually living in Israel. They're citizens of Israel and they're citizens of the United States of America. So it's not really that simple. I believe that these people are not. They didn't just take an American citizen that wants to go back to America and take them hostage in most of these cases. There might be some that I'm unaware of, but as far as I know, these are dual citizens that live in Israel and are living as Israelis in Israel. The second thing is that, there's no doubt that the terrorist attack was wrong and it was evil. But there's been some very interesting questions brought up by a lot of conservatives. They're wondering, like, why is it that Bibi Netanyahu was dealing with all these wartime protests and they allowed this attack to go unresponded to in Israel for so long while these innocent Israelis were getting slaughtered by these terrorists that were on the most surveilled border in the world, by the border wall in the world between the Gaza Strip and Israel. Like, how did this happen? How is this allowed to happen? How incompetent must they have been? It took them, I forget how long it took them to get there, but I think it was like several hours for them to even respond to do anything. It's almost like they wanted it to happen, to me. And I'm not saying that is the case, but it certainly looks that way, especially given Benjamin Netanyahu's lacking popularity as of recently. There was like all sorts of protests and stuff going on in Israel. So, Hamas is bad. Israel obviously has the right to defend itself against that terrorist attack. And if Israel were to encroach upon Palestine and start eroding its borders, it has a right to fight back as well, not using terrorism against innocents, but in warfare purposes, and defend themselves. That's how just war works.
We will also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards, under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. He's got the correct take on that. And watch as the Republicans don't stand up for this. This is where the Republicans are dead wrong. I mean, I don't care how Hamas is operating. You don't have the right to do more evil with your action by bombing civilians to neutralize. You can't do more damage to civilians than you would good by harming the enemy. That's just how it works in Christianity. And you can look this up for yourself. It's called the principle of double effect. I'll be talking about it more in episodes to come. And I think the Hamas situation is a very good example. You can't kill 1,000 civilians to kill 10 Hamas. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable behavior. I don't care if they're burrowing below or not. You figure out a way to extract them. You could send in your own soldiers. What Israel is doing is it's being, I guess in a way, they care more about protecting Jewish lives than they do about civilian casualties. So what they're doing is they don't want to deal with losing the troops, so they're just bombing the civilians to kill the terrorists that are hiding under them. That's not right. That's not moral. And anybody who says that it is moral is not following Catholic moral teaching. So this is a major problem. There's been a lot of things that Israel has done that are wrong. You have people in Israeli government calling the Palestinians animals. There's people, they're preventing the siege. They tried shutting off water and food, but international outrage prevented that from going on longer than it needed to. So they were going to, force people basically to be in a giant prison camp without food or water or electricity or fuel. And that was going to harm them. And then they say, you know, oh, why don't these people go to Jordan? Well, there's a lot of people that went to this. There's a place on the border. I can actually show it to you in Israel. Let's see. Here we go. Where is it at? I believe it's right here. Let me make sure that this is right. It's somewhere. Where's the Gaza Strip? Here we go. This is where it is. This is what I'm looking for right here. Yeah, right here. So they have this thing, and I'm looking for it right now on the map where it crosses over, but this is Rafah right here. I don't think it's that. But anyways, there's this area called the Rafah Passage. And what happened was you had a bunch of Palestinians on the, running away from, let's see, hold on. Where? I'm looking for, let me make sure this is right. This is what I need. Yeah, okay. So this is Gaza City over here. We had people walk all the way over here, families all the way walk over here to try and escape. Did I say Jordan? I believe it would be Egypt. Yeah, they ran over here to escape into Egypt across the Rafah Passage. Here's the thing. They went to go and do that, and you're supposed to give people, safe passage during a siege, innocents, women, children, things like that, so they're not like eradicated and destroyed and murdered and killed. That would be the Christian way to handle the situation. But what they did was they told Egypt, if you take any of the, don't take anybody in or else. And then they started bombing the Rafah Passage, which is, if you look at Gaza, the only way out for civilians. There's your Gaza border right there. It's all Israel. It's all what's viewed as enemy territory all around, except for right here at this passage into Egypt. So you have these people that are being bombed in Gaza City, going here, and then getting bombed over here. Yeah, that's not acceptable behavior. It's not correct. And like I said, I don't care if there's terrorists. You can't do that to people. You need to provide humanitarian aid and safe passage. And, Biden's right about this.
Has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas.
Yep.
Thousands and thousands of innocents, women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin. Families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States has been leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things, too. Everybody should want a ceasefire. Nobody wants innocent death to continue. That's not right. That's not a correct thing to want. Now, Israel thinks that they need to eradicate Hamas in order to mitigate any further terrorist attacks against their nation. That's fine. Go find Hamas. Go shoot them in the head. Send in your special forces. Shoot them up. Do your thing. You can't bomb. You can't kill 100 civilians for every 10 Hamas members. That's not acceptable. That doesn't end the war. That doesn't do anything. You're not winning the war that way. You're doing evil.
To lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground.
Good.
A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. They're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. For the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration.
Agreed.
Or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time.
That's not a solution. They have irreconcilable differences. One person is eventually going to have to come on top and conquer that land. It'll never be settled because it's first off, it's religious. It's religious, so it's deeply entrenched into the fiber of each people group's being. And second of all, there's been a lot of horrible things that have been done to Jews and Palestinians. Israelis and Palestinians over time, so they have a very, very vitriolic hatred for one another. It's a fight, and somebody's gonna have to win, unfortunately.
And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president to visit Israel in wartime, but there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees that Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. And there's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel.
I really wish we just leave the Middle East entirely. I'm just done. Like, can we please just recede and leave that, godforsaken region? I mean, they all worship, they all follow a pagan, or a demonic devil, or a demonic cult, worshiping a meteor rock in Mecca and doing all sorts of other weird stuff like that. Obviously, I don't support Islam. I just want to be rid of the problems of that land. The only reason they hate us is because we're constantly in their business and doing the things that they want. I don't want to deal with the Middle East anymore. Just forget about it. Forget about Israel. Forget about Palestine. Get out of there. Just let them duke it out. Let them have their fight. Let them have their problems and deal with them the way that they need to deal with them. I'm just so sick of this. I'm so sick of this. Why don't we just do our thing and just leave them alone?
For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair economic practices. We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits.
Wait. That's Eric Swalwell. Oh, I love it. I love it. That's Eric Swalwell. Yeah, he's the guy that got, let's see. Yeah, hold on. Democrat says he did not share sensitive information with suspected Chinese spy. Like, they were like dating or so. This is it. This is it. Democrat Eric Swalwell linked. He's clapping against China right now. Boy, you are such a liar. So, linked to spy suspect Christine Fang. That is absolutely wonderful. And he was actually kicked off the. Yep, that's right. Let's see. the House Intel Committee. He was yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. I love how they cut to him. Yeah, dude, don't clap for China. You're part of it.
We're standing up for peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait.
Am I wrong? Is that not him? I think no, that's
Standing
him.
up for
That's
peace
him.
and
That's
stability
him.
across the Taiwan Straits. I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific. India, Australia, Japan, South Korea, Pacific Islands. I've made sure that the most advanced American technologies can't be used in China, not allowing to trade them there. Frankly, for all this tough talk on China, it never occurred to my predecessor to do any of that. I want competition with China, not conflict. And we're in a stronger position to win the conflict in the 21st century against China than anyone else, for that matter, than any time as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills. There's more to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh? Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children online. Harness the promise of AI to protect us from peril. Ban AI voice impersonations and more.
Ban AI voice impersonations? Why would you do that? That's funny. Look, I understand the problems that can come from it, but there just has to be something. We need to figure out the identifiers to what is and isn't that.
To train and equip.
I don't think you can do that.
I
don't think you can ban that.
And care for
That's
them
free
and their
speech.
families when they come home and when they don't. That's why the song Support and Help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of veterans exposed to toxins who now are battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home, but we owe them and their families support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H. And remind us that we can do big things like end cancer as we know it. And we will.
Oh, yeah, let's end cancer. I hate this sort of thing where it's like these empty promises. We're going to end cancer. Yeah, sure. Everybody stands up for that. Well, I guess Mike Johnson didn't. That's not standing up for cancer.
Yay.
Please clap.
I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few more things. I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while.
Oh, man. It's just talking to them like they're just bros. It's so perfect. It's so perfect. Lindsey Graham. Oh, man. The biggest rhino of all time. The occasional Trump butt kisser in chief. Right there, Lindsey Graham. He'll do it when it's appropriate. And he is just, 100% down. War, banging the war drums. Oh, my gosh.
When you get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever. I know the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future.
I mean, the future should have the best elements of the past infused with it. So if going back is better, then go back.
My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, other people my age see it differently.
Johnson's like, sure.
The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me. I was born amid World War II.
Wait a minute. Retribution? Let's look up the definition really quick. Because he's talking about Trump saying, I am your retribution. Oh, that's the movie. Okay, let's do definition. Retribution, punishment imposed as on a convicted criminal for purposes of repayment or revenge against the. That's not a good definition. Let's do. Let's try Merriam-Webster. Yeah, the act or an instance of responding to an injury with an injury. So the idea is it's the purpose is justice. And Trump was saying that I am justice. So if he's against retribution, then he's against justice, which not a good thing.
When America stood for the freedom of the world. I grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claymont, Delaware, among working class people who built this country. I watched.
He used to just say Scranton.
As two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired me to pursue a career in service. I left the law firm, became a public defender because my city of Wilmington was the only city in America occupied by the National Guard after Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the United States Senate when I had no intention of running at age 29.
This is so boring. Sorry,
Vice
guys.
President, our first
We'll get
black
through
president.
it. We're almost there.
Now president to the first women vice president.
The most unlikable person in American history. The most unlikable person in American politics, Kamala Harris. She beat Hillary Clinton, guys. I still can't believe that.
I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke. And I've been told I'm too old.
Yeah.
Whether young or old, I've always known what endures. I've known our North Star. The very idea of America is that we're all created equal. Deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never.
Oh, here he goes talking about about all men being created equal, referring to the unalienable rights. I'm going to do a quick little shout out. If you guys want to hear my commentary on the unalienable rights, be sure to sign up for Red Top Premium. It's only $5.99 a month to get access to the unalienable rights series. You guys are really going to like it. I really do compare I compare the inalienable rights of the unalienable rights of the Constitution or of the Declaration of Independence to what Christianity teaches. And you'd actually be shocked how different they are from one another, and how America, being fundamentally Christian, had some values enshrined at its founding that didn't quite match up with the Christian worldview. So I highly recommend getting it. It costs as much as a coffee every single month. So, have one less Starbucks and you can get access to all of that. It allows me to keep doing these streams. It allows me to keep giving you guys content, keep doing my show, Red Top Report, right behind you. So I would very much appreciate that. So anyways, let's continue.
Fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now.
He's going to walk away from it in 2024 if Donald Trump blitzes you, which it sure looks like he is, according to the polls. Might have to steal it again like you did in 2020.
I'm optimistic. I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy.
She is so done. Look at her, the sunken eyes. She is done for. She is done for.
My fellow Americans, the issue facing our nation isn't how old we are. It's how old are our ideas. Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas. But you can't lead America with ancient.
You want to know what's older than all of those? Love, mercy, compassion, justice. These are all older ideas. They all existed before humanity. They existed with God, the eternal logos. I'm just saying, like, all morality, like good pre-exists evil.
Ancient ideas only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done. Tonight you've heard mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away. I see a future where the middle class finally has a fair shot, and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in taxes. I see a future where we save the planet from the climate crisis and our country from gun violence. Above all, I see a future for all Americans. I see a country for all Americans. And I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people.
I don't know. He sure hates Trump supporters for being a president for everybody. But that's just my 2 cents. Maybe I'm silly, but
the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States of America. And there is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, all right. That's that. That is that. There's your State of the Union address. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'll probably take some questions for a little bit from anybody watching in the chat right now. So if you want to leave a question, I'll put it up and I'll answer it for you. But I mean, overall, I just think that Joe Biden is just, dude, he lied so much in this. He lied so much in this about all of his accomplishments. He's taking credit for all the rebound from COVID, and it's pure nonsense. It's pure nonsense. So as I said, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the chat right now, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But yeah, this was terrible. I mean, this was just, and the ending was so boring. I was expecting a little bit more than that. That was really nothing. But if there is no questions, then I'm just gonna, I'm gonna call it and go off. I'm tired. I've been streaming for 3 hours and 41 minutes now. But there's a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of good commentary, a lot of stuff that, a lot of people would want to know. So, and for one of my first, this is my first time using the template that we're going to be using in the future for this live stream. So, I think it's really good that, we were able to test it out and able to do a long form stream and, have good content out there. You got a pretty good idea of my politics going through all this whole thing at the very least. So all I'm going to say, guys, is that at this point, I am probably going to wrap it up. You guys I'll give it another minute or so. And if nobody has any questions, we'll wrap it up. We had a pretty good turnout for it. We had quite a few live viewers watching it. So, much appreciated. But if you want more, by all means, just tune in on the next stream, and we'll be doing more of these. There's a lot more Red Top stuff coming. And like I said, guys, subscribe to the premium. Please, 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 please subscribe to the premium. I'm telling you guys, you're missing out on some great, great content. And it's good content. Like, I mean, should I play the trailer? I should just play the trailer for the I'm going to do that. Actually, I'll play them. Here we go. And being American. There we go. This is exclusive access, by the way, guys. This is nobody actually has seen this yet, but this is it. This is the trailer for the Unalienable Rights series right now.
Being America first means putting the American people first. It does not mean accepting flawed ideas in a 250-year-old document or not calling out flawed interpretations of those documents. Does this idea that all men are created equal put the nation on a path towards something like feminism? Because in the Bible, according to Christianity, gender equality doesn't exist pretty much at all. Now, what I love about the right to life, first and foremost, is that as far as I can tell, it is fully, unequivocally in accordance with what Christianity teaches. This is a beautiful thing that we put in our Declaration of Independence, and it's something that every American, I think, should really take pride in. The founding fathers were dead on, though they did have a proper understanding of what. I don't think that in the sense politically that there's really any way for that to be compatible with Christianity. It's so broad. I mean, they should have used something like liberty from sin or liberty from evil and had a state church clearly define what is and isn't evil. The American experiment has failed. There can be good done. We can reunify the principles of Christianity in the United States because we chose the route of constitutional republic. We gave every single one of us a little bit of power and a little bit of influence to change things about the United States of America over great periods of time. And a lot of people are probably, banging the war drum, saying revolution, saying this, that, and the other. We already have power, and we need to utilize that power. Being America first.
And that's it. That's the trailer, guys. And on that note, I think I'm going to call it on the stream now, unless there's any comments. Let me go and check really quick, make sure nobody has a question. Nope, we're good. So, guys, we will see you on the next live stream. And as I've said before, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm definitely looking forward to doing more of these in the future. And, dude, more chat interactions, good stuff. So, guys, feel free to leave a comment. Don't be afraid. It'll be good. So anyways, guys, I'm signing out now. You guys have a good one. All right. And God bless you all.